Yeah, hello, is this Peppino's Pizza? Okay, yeah, I'm ready to order. Alright, so I'll have a large podcast with some David, a little Joseph, not too much, extra cheese, stuffed crust. Oh, and can I get a side of lukewarm discussion about Pizza Tower? Alright, alright, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll be by to pick that up. Alright, bye. Welcome back to Tradin Faves.
Oh my! I love when you prep a joke and don't tell me.
It's Pizza Tower!
It's Pizza Tower! We played this game. Oh my goodness.
We sure did.
Oh man.
We need to bring a silly energy for this silly game.
You know what? It's gotta be for this episode specifically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, whoops, they're gonna dock my pay if I don't say the thing proper. Welcome back to Tradin Faves, where we play games on our own time and discuss our favorite parts. Well, they're gonna dock my pay anyway, because I messed up.
Mr. Stick is in the corner, just like, looking at
wringing
you.
his hands. This kid's gonna make me a fortune. I'm gonna wring him dry.
Just sitting there with his lawn chair and his beverage, just like, keep going.
Yep. Just waiting with that evil, miserly grin, waiting to take all my money.
His West Weasley looking face.
Well, if you guys at home don't know what we're talking about, that's because you haven't played this gem of a game known as Pizza Tower, and you really should.
Yeah, this was a good time. It was a weird time, but it was a good time.
It's a little bit of both. You got to take the weirdness with the goodness. Just like that discomfort you get after eating too much pizza. You're like, I'm not upset about it because I enjoyed every second of it, but like now that I'm done, I feel a little bit ill. Yeah, so for those who are not familiar with this game, we will call out a mild spoiler warning this time. Usually with our heavier story games, we encourage skip past these timestamps so you can hear everything in the podcast outside of whatever. This one, there's not too much of a story to this game.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really like cutscenes or dialogue. It's just kind of, you go through the game and stuff happens. But it definitely does thrive on the fact that it surprises you with a bunch of like creative twists on.
This game was surprising.
Yeah. and that's part of the fun of it, is going through and being shocked by the wacky cartoony antics. So if you are a fan of platformers of any sort, or if you're a fan of pizza and Italian stereotypes, this game has got that in spades. Or most importantly, if you're a fan of the Wario Land titles, because that is the heaviest source of inspiration for these games. It's a very solidly crafted game, and so I'd recommend it personally. Plus, it's an indie game, so you're not paying that $60 AAA price that Mr. Sticks loves so much. We're gonna make a lot of jokes about him.
He's just this omniscient force. He is like the Mr. Krabs of the Pizza Tower universe.
He really is. He just loves money. Alrighty then. Well, to start off, we usually have our audience engagement question to make sure y'all are actually enjoying the show and participating to some degree. And I feel what better question to ask than for a game themed around this delectable, wonderful creation of food, a gift from God, if you will. So I want to know, people in the comments, tell me, what is your favorite type of pizza?
A simple question that can raise armies and fell nations.
I was gonna say, I think I know what your answer is.
You
and I
do.
Think it might.
Yeah.
It might start some revolutions.
I'm coming to war because my favorite is the Hawaiian, and this is the fascinating thing about every time I've met somebody who does not like pineapple on a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
They either A, don't like pineapple in general, like even by itself. They're like, no, I hate pineapple. I'm like, well then yeah, you would hate it on pizza.
Right, it makes sense.
Or B, they fall in the camp of, no, I've never tried it because that's weird.
Okay.
And I like everyone I've met that doesn't like it falls into one of those two camps. Like my wife, she's like neutral on it. She's like, I don't like crave it or anything, but like I don't mind it. And she's kind of like I've met people like that, but when it's people who hate pineapple on pizza,
it's one of the two.
They are one of those two people that they have either not tried it or they just don't like pineapple in general. And it's hilarious to me every time that the discourse comes up.
Yeah, in my case, That's the other thing that I find is that most people that enjoy pineapple on pizza, that is their favorite type of pizza as well.
I can attest to myself why I like it. I know that I have a colossal sweet tooth. Like, and specifically, it's the pineapple with the ham. Because it gives it this salty sweet flavor, and I really love that flavor profile of salty and sweet.
That's the thing with me about pineapple pizza, is that it is not my most preferred type of pizza, but I definitely still enjoy it from time to time because of the sweet savory combo. And that's the thing, some people really hate the sweet savory combo, whereas for me, I'm a big fan of that. See also, for a more American version of that, the pineapple burger.
Yep, that's
having pineapple on a burger.
Yep.
It's
with like teriyaki sauce and stuff, dude.
I even made like this one's gonna get people mad, but I once made a quesadilla with like ground beef and pineapple in it. And that actually tasted really good.
I would actually be down to try that. Like, that sounds weird, but
it's really weird.
I'd be down to try it, because I can imagine the flavor, and I'm like, yeah, it would have that, like you said, that savory sweet flavor to it.
Yeah, it's basically the pineapple burger, except instead of the buns, it's in a tortilla. But
so while war is going on down in the comments, what about you? What is your favorite?
Right, I've talked a lot about just nonsense food stuff because I love food. For me, I feel like you can't go wrong with either like a 4 cheese, or if the people that are making the pizza are daring enough to do 5 cheeses, like a multi-cheese pizza with stuffed crust. That is like always my big
You have
favorite.
earned your title of PurpleCheeseMan.
I am the cheese man. I have built my internet persona around cheese because I love it so much. I am a dairy enjoyer.
What is your favorite kind of cheese, out of curiosity?
Swiss.
Ooh, yeah.
Obviously, Swiss doesn't work the best on pizza. So that's why I'm just 4 cheese it. Just get a little of everything on there.
Just put all of the cheese on there.
But yeah, like overall, Swiss is my favorite to go on like sandwiches and stuff like that. But pizza's only one aspect of the game.
Yeah, there's also a tower. What's your favorite tower?
You know, I'm a big fan of Big Ben.
I like
the clock tower.
The Eiffel Tower.
The Eiffel Tower's pretty good. Leaning Tower.
Yeah.
Of Pisa. That's almost Pizza Tower.
It's almost. Oh man.
If you're an Italian viewer, I apologize for everything you are about to hear come out of our mouths this episode, starting with the pineapple and ham pizza.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we begin our show?
Yeah, now that everyone is... I have to make the joke every time, now that everyone has left.
Right, now that everyone has intently clicked the dislike button as hard as they possibly could and left. Maybe if we're lucky, someone will leave a scathing comment about our food preferences. But yeah, we always like to start by talking about our history with the game in question. I guess since I encountered the game first and I'm showing it to you, I'll explain my history first. So I heard about this game about... I don't remember the timeline exactly, but about 2 years, I think, before it released. And you would think, like, wow, that's a pretty big deal. The reason for that is because I was following good old Ding Dong VG on the Twitters, back when he used to be more active on different types of social media. One of the things he would always do is just signal boost a bunch of indie developers and just like, you know, retweet like announcements about their games or like in development progress of games were like something he was always really fascinated by. And so every now and then, like, just going through, like, his Twitter feed, I'd see, like, little updates on, like, Pizza Tower being in progress. So I'd seen some, like, really early in development Pizza Tower stuff. And, like, the whole time that I was watching, I was like, whoa, this game's got, like, crazy animation and personality and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, this'll be, like, one of these fun little, like, niche indie games that, like... I'll be trying to, you know, be an acolyte for and share with the world because nobody's heard of it. And then to my surprise, it just, like, blew up in popularity.
It
I was not expecting. Yes.
The pizza exploded in the oven. Yes!
Exactly. Oh, man. Yeah, so as a result, like, the developers of this game were very, like, open about the development history. Do you know if this one was kickstarted, or...
I think...
I'm pretty sure it was a yeah, because there was, like, the
names in the credits,
the names of the credits. That leads me to believe. If not Kickstarter, then, like, a Patreon or something, but... Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it was Kickstarter.
Crowdfunded.
Anyway, yeah, it was crowdfunded. And so there's a lot of information about, like, older builds of the game and, you know, cut content and a lot of things. So even after you go through the game, there's a ton of, like, really interesting deep dives on, like, the history. But yeah, was not expecting this one to get as big of a reception as it does. And that's always a huge W for indie developers. And that makes me happy to see. And I liked this kooky old game so much that I was just like, David needs to see this.
Yeah. I really got it's funny for me. I remember seeing like art and animations like back when it was still in its early development, and I remember being like, I should keep an eye on this. And then I forgot about it entirely.
And then you didn't.
and then I remember like hearing like, oh, that one pizza game that looked like Wario, but it released finally, and I was like, oh, cool, I should probably check that out. And then I didn't.
I love how consistent this is with you. This is just a thing that always happens. You're like, I will get to this. And then without any sort of, like, prompting from anyone else, you just, like, abandon it forever.
I just get busy, and I forget to follow up on it, and it's really funny. But then, like, and I think... Because I think at some point you told me, like, oh, I played this. We're probably going to play it at some point.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, oh, okay, then I'll just hold off until then.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did, because this was a treat, man.
A sweet and savory treat.
But yeah, like, I want to say after the game released, or it was close to release, I think it was one of the levels, I saw just, like a video... that somebody had on Twitter of just playing through one of the levels, and I was like, yo, this is cool. But yeah, that's essentially my history with it.
Yeah, that led us to now. So now let's move on to the presentation of the game. This covers any aspect of the visuals and sound of the game. So starting with visuals, what do you think?
Dude, just the art style, like, this reminds me of so many old cartoons.
It is. It's so 90s cartoon reminiscent.
Well, and it's amazing, like, hearing the different cartoons that people will list off when comparing it. Like, because when we sat down to play, my wife was with me for the first time, and I think she was the one who said Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my goodness, you're right.
And my brain had never compared the two, but as soon as she said it, I was like, that is it.
Do you know what other one, like, came to mind one day that I was like, oh my goodness, was, do you remember The Wacky World of Tex Avery?
Oh my goodness.
Like the energy of that show, but it's this game.
Oh man, that one might even be the most apt comparison I've ever heard.
Because it's got like the crazy facial features and like the wacky just nonsensicalness to it.
Yeah. Especially the tone, like the really fast-paced, snappy action to it as well.
Yeah. But like
the other ones that came to mind for me were Billy and Mandy.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And especially Cow and Chicken. This game reminds me a lot of Cow and Chicken.
Yes, 100% yes. I think we even said that during our playthrough.
Yes, we did bring up Cow and Chicken during the playthrough. That's the one that it most reminds me of. But I think Tex Avery might be the best comparison I've heard.
But like, I love this game's art style. Like, that exaggerated and expressiveness, like, and, like, this game is just not afraid to just do what it wants.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not bound by any kind of, like, limit or restriction. It's like, I feel like doing this. Like, even from, like, the game's opening, like, the opening cinematic, and just, all of a sudden the camera cuts to Peppino, and he's absolutely just jacked. And I was like, what is happening?
It's so true.
Like, it was so, like, absurd, and that made the game so much fun.
Mm-hmm. It's got these, like, very scrappy-looking character designs, and they do, like you said, just exaggerating proportions to get, like, the maximum amount of emotion out of the characters. And like, even beyond that, like, everything is animated super smoothly. Like, it's pixel art, but, like, there is so much, like, smoothness to the motion, and there's, like, some really nice quality smear frames on all of the animation. So you get these, like, big, boisterous, cartoony emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I would say specifically, like, everything in the game is, like, really nice visually, but Peppino himself steals the show.
Oh,
like,
no question.
I have never seen so much smoothness in, like, a main character in a 2D game. He is just always doing something. It never, like, holds on a single frame of animation. He's, like, you stand in place and he's, like, breathing really heavily, or, like, his eyes are shifting, or he's, like, checking behind his back or whatever.
Yeah, easily the highlight of this game is its visual style. And it's so fascinating because, like, it looks like it was drawn in MS Paint.
In a good way.
But, like, by a professional.
Yeah, because it has that crude, rough pixeliness.
With, like, that really thin line art.
Yeah.
But then
at the same time, it's everything is super well proportioned and just like set up in a way that makes it so delightful just to look at.
As well as just like the backgrounds too. There's just so much to just look at in this game.
This is a thing we'll definitely get into when we talk more about the gameplay, but the backgrounds are just stuffed with so many little details. There was a point where we were just like looking at things in the background instead of like progressing for just like minutes on end, just like, oh hey, look at this thing, oh hey, look at that, oh what does this say, oh that's really tiny text, what does that say? And it's like, oh look at this funny guy.
Yep.
It's just really nice.
But if you don't have any more to praise the visuals, there's an element I want to talk about this game.
A very important element. This is why, like, you said, like, the biggest part of the game is the visual.
Yeah.
And, like, I won't completely disagree with that, but there are two other, like, major components.
Yes.
And one of those is definitely the sound. This game's soundtrack was not what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting something more memey, like the tutorial stage. You know, like... Yeah.
I was expecting that. But, like, the guitar riffs in this game's soundtrack are amazing. Like, I would say it every time we'd boot up the game, and we would watch the opening, like, that guitar is so freaking sexy. Like, I was like, these are some of the best guitar riffs I have ever heard in a video game. And I am a Sonic fan.
Right. There is, let me look at this, because I want to get this right. All the composers for the soundtrack, I believe it's just these two, yeah. If I miss anyone, I apologize, but Mr. Sauceman and Klasky Gito. That's a weird name. But yeah, those two. Not to show more preference to one over the other, but I am going to show more preference to one over the other. Mr. Sauceman, all of his tracks in this game, those are the ones that are usually like with the guitars going hard, or just like the really steady, like epic beats.
Yeah, it just, I wasn't prepared for this soundtrack. Like I'd argue that like not even a single one is a miss. And like,
yeah, they definitely do different things tonally. Because like the game soundtrack is able to snap between silly, off-putting, confusing, headbanging, or groovy. And it does it seamlessly. Like, they're so different tonally, but they all feel like they fit because the game uses tonal shifts as part of its comedy.
It also...
So it works super well.
A lot of this soundtrack, what I notice, is like the music is like progressive, like it builds. Because like, obviously there are tracks that like loop, but they're, like, long enough that, like, they start out kind of, like, small, and then they build, and then you get, like, the main melody, but, the melodies change. And it was, like, listening to the soundtrack, I was like, this soundtrack is so fascinating, as well as just, I love the titles of some of these tracks are so just... Pardon my Italian, but chef's kiss. Like,
yeah, this game's soundtrack is godlike.
It's so good.
It's out of this world good. Another thing to add on to that, we'll have some other things to say about different soundtracks as we discuss different aspects of the game. But you know me, like, hey, it's Joseph Sound Effects Corner, where he talks about sound design.
I was gonna bring that up, too, because for me, I feel like they nail the wacky cartooniness. Like, they're so perfect. There are some dang good screams in this game.
There are some hilarious screams. You've got a lot of, like, smacking sounds that have a lot of bite to them whenever you smack into things or attack stuff or get hit or whatever. But then, like I was saying, how the game uses a lot of, like, tonal shifts. There is some, like, suitably uncomfortable sound design in this game. Even from, like, the really weird abstract stuff, like getting sucked into an eyeball. Or,
that's right.
Or, like, this game's version of the Mario Warp Pipe is, like, a box full of pizza, and you hear a lot of, like, cheese, like... And it's just like, ugh!
Yup.
As well as, like, the actual, like, moments when the game kind of goes in, like, the horror direction. There's, like, scary stuff, ominous sounds, sting chords.
There's...
all that good stuff.
One of my favorites, though, is, like, when you hit, like, the higher speeds, and there's just that guitar, like power chord.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. It's such like, a little thing, but I love it.
I like, even beyond that, like, if you manage to build more speed than just, like, because they set it in phases of, like, Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3. Once you get to Mach 1, it starts doing the guitar sound. Once you reach, like, Mach 3, there's almost kind of like an engine hum. Like,
yup. Peppino's going full throttle.
And it's, like, the animation definitely, like, sells it too. His limbs are so, like, floppy and flailing in every direction. His, like... The other one we didn't talk about cartoon-wise, Ed, Edd n Eddy. Just with, like, the tongue just hanging out, flapping in the wind while he's just hauling it. The sound effects are so good in this game, and that's the thing. Like, because I am so picky about good sound design, most of the games that we've talked about on this show have had pretty darn good sound design. It is very rare that we have a game that we talk about on this show where I'm like, I don't like this game's sound design.
I don't like that on my pizza. Oh, man.
Why'd you have to say that? Now I just want to talk more about, like, toppings, like mushrooms. Love some mushrooms on my pizza.
The toppings.
The toppings.
Dude, can I just say, the fact that the pineapple was wearing sunglasses just made me smile.
It's like, yeah, he's the cool one.
He's the cool guy. Only cool people eat pineapple.
He's like, oh, you don't like pineapple on your pizza? Yeah, whatever.
The pineapple is the hipster of the group.
I mean, pineapple on pizza is kind of a hipster.
It's kind of a hipster move.
Well, with that, then, let's, I don't know, do you have anything else to say about sound design?
Nah, we can move into gameplay.
Yes. This is what I want to talk about, because, like, again, I think you're totally justified in making the claim that, like, the visuals are the best aspect of the game. But I want to talk about some schmovement for a second.
Yes.
This game's got the schmoves.
You can hit some absolutely stupid speeds in this game. And again, as a Sonic fan, I'm like, holy crap, you can go so fast in this game.
That's the thing, like, the Wario games are always the most, like, cited for, like, what this game is similar to, but it definitely takes a lot of the best of many different types of, you know, like, 2D platformers. And there is, like, for as much Wario influence as there is in the game, there's a comparably, like, decent amount of Sonic like, inspiration for this game. You can go at these, like, ballistic speeds. You have so many different moves that you can pull off as well, which kind of, you combine the aspect of, like, Wario having a lot of cool, like, maneuvers and techniques with the speed of Sonic, and it just helps you like blitz through the game in a bunch of like different creative ways.
I actually, when we finished the game, I went in and I watched somebody go through and P rank every stage, and this is one of those games where when somebody is moving at like perfection with this game, it is beautiful to watch.
It's like art.
It really is, because again, like I've said it about like Sonic games and stuff, but like it's one thing to beat a level, it's another thing to beat it with style and flair.
Mm-hmm.
And like, speed is like a key element to a lot of that style and flair.
Yeah. This game just has this very fast, frantic, and fun energy to it. But that's also, like, if you want it to be that. Because you can also play this game at a very slow pace and explore the levels.
Yeah, there's so much to, like, explore. Like, I'd argue... I know you despise the term Metroidvania. It's search action.
Right.
But, like... There really are, like, there are secrets to find, there's stuff to do, and you're rewarded for running around and exploring.
And not to mention, the game also benefits from you doing that, because if you take it slow, you can plan a route and then redo the level and go for, that P rank.
That P rank.
Which is fun. It's got that like ranking system, like S, A, B, C, D. But then they also just, for the extra spice of the game, added a P rank.
Yeah, P ranks are nuts.
That is like, that's high level gameplay when you can do that on a level.
And it is a lot of failed attempts.
That too, trial and error.
It's very trial and error to get it perfect, but I also think that that's really rewarding.
Mm-hmm. You know what aspect of the game's design? This is a good segue, because this complements the trial and error nature of the game really well. I like that, except during the boss fights, there's no health.
Yup.
Like, you would think that would detract from, like, the tension of the gameplay, like, oh, there's no consequences for getting hit or whatever, but they find ways to keep you incentivized to play the game well with, like, the ranking system and everything. As well as just, like, the fact that the game, like, keeps track of how many times you get hit and everything.
Yes. Well,
it's you'd think that like the game wouldn't be fun because there's no consequence, and yet it still kind of is.
Well, and I think that one of the other strengths to it, going back to like the visuals and the animation, is because there is, there's no real punishment for getting hurt. It's a cartoon. It's slapstick. And so it can, like, lean into that and, like...
Yeah.
As horrible as it is, hurt Peppino a little bit for a joke.
Right.
Which...
Well, and it's the fact that it's not, like... It's not that there's no punishment. It's just that it's not the traditional system of health and lives. It's more, when you get hit, your momentum stops. And because the game is all about speed and doing things in time, that actually is a better punishment than, like, getting stopped and your health is low and you have to manage that.
It's so good. And then we haven't even talked about, like, the biggest thing about the game. Like, pizza time.
The escape.
Like, the idea of, like, you go through and explore this whole level, and then you run back through it. The core, like, gameplay loop is so satisfying of, like, okay, this is the route that I took to get here, now I have to go back, but, oh wait, there's a slight variation in the terrain, so I have to improvise on the fly.
Yeah.
Like... and it's such, like, a simple idea of, like, you go through the level to this point and then retrace your steps.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's like every level, it leaves the devs a lot of freedom to change up each level and make it special and memorable.
Yeah. I like how, because it's, a time limit and you're trying to get back the opposite way through a level you've been. It creates really good tension, but at the same time, it uses really cool background music whenever it happens to make you feel fast and awesome. Even if you're not doing well, like, the music kind of gives you that morale boost to be like, yeah, let's do this.
It hypes you up.
It almost kind of tricks you into thinking you're still in control, even though it's an intense situation, which is something that I really like. Also, the fact that the whole deal about the time limit is that once the timer is up, then the bad guy of the game, Pizza Face, shows up and starts chasing you. And if he touches you, it's an instant death, and you have to start the level over from the beginning. The other reason that I really like that is because I love when villains have a strong sense of presence throughout a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not just the big bad at the end of the game that you encounter, but, like, you feel their influence as you're going through the whole thing. So the fact that it's, like, the timer until Pizza Face wakes up, and then he starts chasing you, gives him that presence.
Mm-hmm. As well as, like, I love the fact, too, that, like, just because the time limit runs out, it isn't an instant end. You can try to outrun him.
Right.
And, like, it's really fun watching, like, a playthrough where, like, that happens, and by the skin of their teeth, somebody makes it out. Like...
Uh-huh.
And I also love that, like, you get the little animation of Pizza Face, like, all sad, like, oh man, I didn't get to ruin his day.
Yeah. And there's even, like, at the ranking thing at the end, it'll be, like, lapped. Like, you...
Oh, yeah.
I believe that's the thing. If you do, like, the second lap thing, and then
the lap 2.
And then you outrun Pizza Face, like, instead of giving you a letter rank, it'll just say, like, lapped.
That's so good.
Which is fun. But yeah, and also just the fact that there's a lap 2, which is another crazy thing. It's like, you thought it was crazy enough to make it back to the start of the level, like working your way in reverse to the exit, instead passing said exit and going, I'm going to get through the whole level a second time, still within this time limit, just to really flex.
Yeah, well, it's funny too, because some of those time limits, I was like, oh wow, they give you a lot of time, and then it's like, yeah, because it's gotta last you the whole journey back.
Mm-hmm. Twice.
Twice. There's lap 2. Lap 2 is bananas.
It's so good, and the music is even better during lap 2.
And it's great because if you're somebody who just kind of casually wants to enjoy the game, you can completely ignore it. But then if you're somebody who wants to, like, really challenge themselves, you can really challenge yourself with this game.
Mm-hmm. Like we said, there's 2 different ways to play. It's taking it slow and exploring, or, like, trying to maximize your skills at the game and perform at peak performance. And so this one's kind of like, it's still not too beginner friendly. Like, I don't know how much of a good time you'd have with this being like your first platformer ever, if you're not a platformer person. But if you've played enough of the classics, your Mario, Sonic's, Mega Man's, etc. If you've played enough of the classics, then yeah, this one's really good. I also do want to shout out, while we're talking about, like, peak gameplay performance, I don't know if by the time this goes up, this will still be the current world record, but there's a speedrun uploaded by the YouTube channel called Incognito Mode. It is the any percent speedrun. It's like 47 minutes about.
Oh, cow.
That is some fun gameplay to watch. Just like the absolute mastery over the movements of this game on display, and like every little thing that you can look at and go like, oh, the game doesn't intend for you to do that, but it's just a slight way to save time, so that's why he chose to move that way. It's very fascinating to look at, so I'd highly recommend that.
Well, should we talk about, I guess, the rest of this game, the actual levels and worlds?
Yeah. So this is probably the last time I'll like warn anybody. If you're interested in trying it, yeah, we're gonna talk about the different aspects of the game, the little surprises that you encounter along the way. So we won't put any like hard timestamps on anything, but like, yeah, skip past this if you want to try it for yourself, and then just hear like, you know, our outro and what we plan to play next after this and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, let's start with World 1 in the Tower of Pizza.
The Tower Lobby.
I think also along with the Tower Lobby kind of goes like the tutorial stage.
Yeah, the tutorial stage.
I love their use of I know the actual name of it. It's Funiculi Funicula, which is that classic little Italian tune. Of course, because it's public domain, it's free to be used in this game, which, you know, thrives on the Italian stereotypes and just kind of owns them.
That's so crazy. Oh my goodness.
It's just a fun little detail. And even the fact that the overworld and a lot of the leitmotifs that use in the game are like kind of like snippets of the song too, like the little doot 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 doot, and it's like you can put those together and be like, oh, it's still Funiculi Funicula.
It's still there, but it's just done very subtly and carefully.
Mm-hmm. This game refuses to let you forget that it's about pizza. But our first
proper level,
we get John Gutter.
Jonathan Gutter. Oh my goodness. It's funny looking back after having played this whole game that like this is a pretty straightforward first level.
Yeah.
But like, so this is a thing, I'm going to constantly be referring back to this. So when we played this game, you know, I'm in the process of building a house, as well as my work schedule changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming in earlier, and then basically like any and all free time I had, I was devoted basically towards working and then just sleeping. And I wasn't sleeping a lot.
Very exhausting.
So I was very exhausted. So playing through this game felt like it was just constantly slapping me in the face. Just like every time something would come up, I'd just be like, what? Why? Huh? Like the game felt like a fever dream. And there were points where like we probably could have kept going, but I was like, dude, I am so tired. And this game is a lot.
Yes.
Like when we first got to like the very first pillar, John, and you're like, oh, there he is, John, and I'm like, what is happening? And then you just
the music's all scary.
Yeah, and then you just smack him out of the way. It's pizza time. You're like, all right, it's pizza time, and I was like, what does that mean? What is happening?
Why is there a time limit?
Like, this was nuts. And little did I know just what I was getting set up for.
Mm-hmm. This is I tried to take this first level very slow and like answer like yours and your wife's questions and like get you like as used to the tone of the game as you could.
Uh-huh.
And then by the time we hit pizza time on this first level, it was like, All right, sink or swim.
Sink or swim, boy.
Welcome to Pizza Tower.
It's pizza time. Well, and that made it extra funny with just like you were taking it slow and trying to answer my questions, and then pizza time hit, and you were just like, I gotta go.
I gotta get out of here.
And like I said, it felt like a slap to the face where I was like, what just happened? Wait, what?
Good fun.
Oh, man.
Some of these, like, first couple of levels in the first world are also, like, very good introductions to the game and, like, the kind of tone you can expect from the rest of it.
Uh-huh.
I think a prime example from that, and, like, I'd say the highlight of World 1 is Pizzascape. Yes!
You know what's funny? I actually think I'd seen this level before. It might have been some of the early stuff that I'd seen. Like, because you were going through it, and I was like, this looks familiar. Wait a minute. And, you know, maybe it was my tired exhaustion that was like, I'm having a deja vu effect with this.
Right.
But, like, this level rules. The night power-up is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. We didn't even really comment on this in the gameplay section, but there's, like, a unique, like, transformation or power-up of some kind in every level.
Yup.
Or, like, if they reuse concepts in a level, there's new ways to interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so just getting this, like, hefty suit of armor, and, like, whenever you're on slopes, how he just starts sliding.
I was gonna say that I was like, okay, like, the suit of armor, it's slow, but you can double jump, like, alright, whatever. And then you hit the slope, and then you just start going. And I was like, oh, like, and it's so cool, because then it changes the way I look at every level now, because I'm like, oh, there's a slope. That means I can use this to get moving.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, Pizzascape was a cool level.
Yeah, definitely.
And from there, we went to Ancient Cheese. I didn't have much to say on this one, just because, like...
Yeah.
Like, this level, I was still kind of just reeling from how weird this... like, this game is. You know,
right.
like, I was still getting slapped in the face, because I want to say we did this one... We might have done this one first, or I think we did John Gutter, and then we did Ancient Cheese.
Ancient Cheese, and then Pizzascape, because you don't have to do them in a
first order. Which is super cool that you can do them in any order. So, like, I was still just like, okay, there's a lot happening, what is going, like, you know, and so, like, this level just kind of felt like a blur to me.
Yeah, I feel like the purpose of Ancient Cheese as a level is to introduce you to the weirdness of the game.
Uh-huh. Which is funny
to give
how...
you a sense of, like, hey, this game's gonna be really strange.
It's funny, too, because, like, you know, with John Gutter and Ancient Cheese, I feel like they're very standard levels compared to what else is in the game. But that kind of, like, gives you a sense of normalcy. Of, like, okay, even though... Because then you go to, like, Pizzascape, and you're like, okay, you know... This is still the same gameplay concept, but it has, like, a night motif.
Right. There's a theme to each level.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of deal with Blood Sauce Dungeon.
Yeah. So, this is funny, because you remember there's that one pizza you can talk to, and it says, if you hurt Peppino too much, you can go to hell. And then we actually did!
We went to the level known as hell.
There's a literal sign of the devil, and it says, welcome to hell.
This was a welcome surprise for me, because on my first playthrough, I missed this one completely.
Yup. And, like, but, like, I love the layout of this level, because, like, it's going to hell, and it's, like, a downward spiral. Like, you keep going downward and deeper. Mm-hmm. And it fits the theme, and then, of course, when it's pizza time, we have to climb out of hell.
Yeah.
Which is so, like, brilliant.
Yeah, definitely, like I said, the first level does a great job setting everything up that you can expect from the rest of the levels.
Um,
Including our first boss.
Our first boss. My goodness. Pepperman.
Pepperman. I honestly feel like big ugly brutes make for excellent first bosses of games.
He's so stupid looking and it's perfect. Again, at this point, I was still sort of recovering from this game, and like,
right.
Pepperman was a lot to throw at me. But like, I remember because you found that art of like a humanoid version of him, and I was like, no, that's not Pepperman. He's way too handsome. This guy's an ugly dingus. Like this guy's an idiot. And like, I don't know, I was so just like, okay, so this is what we are up against. A giant pepper. Sure, why not?
But it also kind of helps set up like the aspects of the game. Like, it's not just silly, but there's also kind of that Wario mix of silliness and style. Because during the fight, like, the music during this first fight is like A+ rockin' tunes.
Yep. But yeah, and like, that was the thing too, is we kind of breezed through Pepperman.
Yeah, he was on my first playthrough. I wasn't, as familiar with like what I could do in the combat and stuff. So I died to Pepperman quite a few times, whereas, having played through the whole game.
When you were showing me.
Yeah, and going back to show you the gameplay, it's like, okay, his patterns are pretty easy to read, and like I've got it down.
Yeah, he's a surprisingly tricky first boss, because he's got a couple of mix-ups that, if you don't know what's coming, he'll get you.
Right, he deliberately does the same thing twice, and then after you hit him 2 times, he sets up to make it look like he's going to do the same thing and then changes it up. Which is just good preparation for the rest of the game. Like, yeah, bosses are gonna, like, set up patterns and then deliberately break them to try and throw you off.
Yep. But yeah, from there, we go to World 2.
The Western District.
The Western District. Oh my gosh. This was interesting. Oregano Desert. One of the best tracks in this entire game.
It's so good. Just the bass just constantly slapping away. And everything else in the band follows suit.
Well, and then just, again, I think this is where I started to get the vibe of the game a little bit. Because, like, it was that title card of, like, the UFO, and, like, the one dude sitting on the toilet getting abducted.
Yeah.
like, and I was like, okay, I think I get this.
Right, because there's sort of an element, like, you see it and you think, like, oh, Looney Tunes, like, just silly slapstick and whimsy. And it's like, no, there's kind of a bit of, like, smoothness and, like, coolness, but also a bit of crudeness as well. And it sort of, Oregano Desert really blends all of that together.
Yeah. Well, and I love, this level has such a cool, like, tone shift, because, like, you're like, oh, it's the Wild West Desert or whatever. And then, all of a sudden, we enter a spaceship. And there are cows in there, and just them kicking Peppino. It was so just, like, silly and fun, and I was like, okay, I vibe with this game. I think I'm getting it now. And then little did I know the more left hooks that this game was going to deliver to me. But I was like, I think at that point, I was like, I'm on board. I get what this game is trying to do. It's very, like, variety, and I'm here for it.
One of the things, I didn't really think about it too much, like, while we were going through the game, but upon looking back at gameplay of it, the other thing I really like is with the title cards, They have that kind of, like the Mario Sunshine, like do 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 do, whatever. But each like level intro has its own unique jingle that plays a little bit of the music that's featured in that level.
Yeah, it's a great little preview. But yeah, from there, we had the Waste Yard.
The Waste Yard. I like the title card for this.
I was gonna say, the title card absolutely got me, because I was ready for, like, this whole desert-themed world. Because, like, I want to say we did, like, a couple... I think we also did Fast Food Saloon, like, before this.
Yeah.
But, so I was like, okay, like, this is a desert level,
this
you know?
Is
like
the Western District.
The Western District, so it's all, in the desert. And then just, like, oh... like, Peppino's dead.
Yeah.
Like, here's his funeral. And, like, I was so just, like, again, another slap in the face. That I was like, what? and then, like, there's the, you're, like, surfing on like, a zombie. Like, just on a dead corpse. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then you actually die and play as a ghost. And I was like, oh, that's why he's dead in the title card.
Mm-hmm. But I love how it's like just a sheet ghost with like Peppino's eyes and his nose.
Yeah, like it's in his hat is still there, like in the shape of the sheet.
Oh, it's good fun. Oh, and not to mention, this one has during the escape sequence, John also turns into a ghost and chases you through the level.
That was something I wasn't ready for. And I was just like, oh no.
That is very much like Spelunky vibes, being chased by a big ghost.
Oh my gosh, that was wild. From there, we go to Fun Farm.
The Fun Farm.
This was another slap to the face, but it was prolonged. As Mort the Chicken was not something made up for this level.
Mm-mm.
Like, I think that would have been awesome, because, like, I was just like, like, okay, who's this new character that is just a part of this level? Because I think that would be really funny. But the fact, not just the fact that, like, no, Mort the Chicken is a real video game character from a real, like, PS1 game. But also the fact, the guy who made him also made Echo the Dolphin.
Wait, really?
Yes!
Oh my goodness.
Because I was like, you told me that Mort the Chicken was, like, a real thing. And I was like, what the heck? So I went and I looked it up, and hilariously, NitroRad did a video, because he does videos on all the old stupid platformers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fascinating video, because he was talking about, like, Echo the Dolphin and, like, Mort the Chicken. And he's like, now, like, the obvious joke is that, oh, this guy must have been on drugs. And they're like, no, he wasn't, but he listened, like, he would, like, read a bunch of books and stuff written by this scientist that would do drugs, like, get high and talk to dolphins, and then record his experience. And, like, this guy made Mort the Chicken. and so, like I said, this was another slap in the face, but for, like, a prolonged slap. Like it waited to slap me in the face.
Mm-hmm. The other funny thing about Mort the Chicken is that I need to actually look at names and more info about this stuff. Like, the guy who was, like, the main developer for the game went out of his way to ask the creator of Mort the Chicken, can I use your character as an extra in my game? And he was just like, yeah, why not? Go for it.
It's so crazy.
Like, no legal hassle whatsoever. He's just like, can I use your character? And he was like, yeah. And so now Mort the Chicken is a power-up in this game.
Yeah, and he's the highlight of this level. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Like the level, I was like, okay, this is an okay level, and then you get Mort, and just, like, the way you're able to move and do stuff is just great.
You get his little, like, head smack move.
But yeah, and then, like I said, we also did Fast Food Saloon.
Fast Food Saloon?
Riding the hot dog is silly.
Yeah.
Just, like, it's the fact that you can get to such stupidly fast speeds, and you just destroy everything you touch.
Yeah, just, like, bulldoze straight through lines of enemies while riding on this, hot dog with legs.
Well, and then another, I keep saying it, another slap to the face was just hearing the Jet Set Radio. I don't understand what's going on here. Like, I was like, Jet Set Radio?
I mean, okay, technically, Jet Set Radio also just sampled that sound from somewhere else. But, like...
Jet Set Radio is known for that sound sample, though. And so, like...
It is.
I was not ready for it. And I was like, hold on. You're throwing a lot at me, man. I need a minute.
Oh, yeah. And then to cap off the having a lot thrown at you... Our boss.
Oh my
gosh,
level. The vigilante.
The vigilante.
Oh my god. What? I'm trying to remember. What was like his? Because his full name is like. Oh, I can't remember. It was some joke that like it abbreviates, or like it gets shortened to vigilante.
Is that the case?
I'm trying to remember what it was. I read about it somewhere and I can't remember what it is. But like. Oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts. I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now because I'm just like, oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a Vigor Ebenezer Lanty.
That's what it is.
Which you just shorten it all and it becomes Vigilante.
So funny thing, I saw this comment and it now lives rent free in my brain because the name of the track that plays in this boss fight is called Calzonification.
Yeah.
Which is great. But while I was listening to the soundtrack, I looked at the top comment on YouTube for this song. Mm-hmm. And it was just, it's called Calzonification because you're about to get folded.
Oh, that's so stupid, but I love it.
And I'm just like, yes, give me more of this.
I really appreciate that the fan base for this game is able to match the humor of this game.
Yes, and that has been one of my favorite things. But like legitimately, the gunplay in this part is so sick.
Yeah, it's the fact that they give you, a 6-shooter. And you get 6 shots before it's got to reload.
Yup. And the fact that, like, he pulls a Meta Knight where he throws the gun out.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I really love the lighting change during phase 2
Oh
as well.
My gosh, yeah.
That it's people all the time see that and they're like, "Oh, that's just, like easier to make sprites. You just like cover all the colors in black or whatever. It's a very easy, lazy fix." I'm just like, put it in every 2D video game. It looks good.
It always is cool. As well as like, yeah. It's a great way because like his pattern doesn't really change, but like by taking away all the color, it's harder to keep track of yourself, and so it's a good like phase 2 thing. It's very clever, as well as just the freaking like showdown at the end of the fight.
Yeah,
is so cool. Just the quick draw.
Mm-hmm.
Pepino shot first.
Yeah, sorry, George Lucas. It's a good little thing. The fact that they actually make you do the quick draw, like you have to push the button. Very good flavor on this fight.
Uh-huh.
I would say, like, mechanically, maybe this is the weakest boss fight, which is still saying something because this is a great boss fight. But it just hits on all fronts in terms of, like, the visuals and, like, the setting.
The aesthetic. And, like, the Vigilante, his moves are really cool. Because he does, like, the flip kick with the cowboy boots.
Yeah, he does the little slide.
How he gets the flamethrower and just starts sliding around with it.
I do like that because, like, the little cheese blobs are just, like, ordinary enemies in the level. But it's like... But this one's a cowboy.
This one's a cowboy, not just a cowboy, but like a bounty hunter. Like, because if you see him, he's got like a wanted poster with Peppino's face on it. Which implies also that like he is actually a genuinely good guy. Who just he's like, oh hey, I've been hired to kill you, so like let's dance, partner.
Yep.
I don't know. I just really liked him. So this was just a cool bit.
Very good stuff. From one cheese man to another. I tip my cowboy hat. Good sir.
Yeah. That was another thing too, is the fact that he is a cheese man.
And a cowboy.
And I was like, dude, how in the world did this game like know your aesthetic?
What can I say? There's a common overlap in cowboy fanatics and cheese fanatics, I guess. Alright, let's move on to World 3.
Yeah, World 3, Vacation Resort. Because right off the bat, when we got up here, like, it's specifically, like, there's, the base tower theme, but then it's got, like, the steel drums. And I was like... Oh, this place is an interesting vibe.
Mm-hmm. This is my favorite, like, overworld music in the game.
Yup, same.
Because it's like the steel drums giving it the tropical feel, but then that guitar in the background making it really tense. Starting off, we got Crust Cove.
Which, I gotta say, one of the best names of a level. Like, this almost feels like it belongs in a Kirby game.
It does.
But, like, Crust Cove, Peppino really gets slapped around in this level.
Yeah.
Like, he's rolling in the barrel, he's propelled by the water currents, bombs are being shot at him, like, this poor guy just gets slapped around a bunch in this level.
This one's, it's a lot to deal with, and I just, pirate vibes.
Yep.
Love me some pirate vibes.
It was good fun. But after that, we got, dude, freaking Gnome Forest.
This is another one that I really love the artwork for.
The title card is so good. That was another slap in the face.
Peppino and Gustavo just as gnomes.
Yup. And speaking of, we finally get playable Gustavo and Brick.
Yep. Because that's the thing, like, throughout the game, they've had this little arc of just, like, Gustavo and Brick in the background fighting.
Yup.
And then by, like, World 3, you can see, like, they've made up.
They've become friends, and now you just get to play as them.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, this level rules just for the fact that we get to play as them.
Yeah.
As well as just when you go back to Peppino and just back to this guy.
do.
The Gustavo and Brick the Rat hour.
There's just so much good, like, silliness. You know what the title card makes me think of?
What?
Is, like, Philips CDI character design.
Oh my goodness, yes!
How it's, like, the characters are still, like, weirdly, like, exaggerated in their proportions, but then they have that, like, unnecessary detail on their faces.
Yup.
Yeah. That's what I think of.
Oh, I can't unsee that now!
Also, there's little mushroom trampolines. That's
cool. Yep. But then from here we went to Deep Dish 9.
Which is so great.
Which, I love the name.
I love the name on this one.
But, like, this level rules, dude. Like,
this one was awesome.
Like, the music slaps. There's, like, the rockets, like that you hold behind you. Just, like, that is probably one of the funniest power-ups.
Mm-hmm. That rocket, I think, more than anything else in the game, has the most, like, Ed, Edd n Eddy feel to
yes.
it. Of him, like, because when you're on the ground, he's, like, running, but still being pushed by the rocket.
Yup.
And he's just got that, like, grin on his face,
yeah.
like, whoa!
But it wasn't, we didn't just get the rockets in this level, we also got, like, the olive things that, like, pull you up.
Yeah.
And then also, we got the teleporters, too. And the way they, like, play with both power-ups with the teleporters.
Mm-hmm. It's like you build speed with the rocket to hit the teleporter, and then get back to an earlier area going fast.
Uh-huh. And then just, like... Oh, and then there were, like, the rocket ship transitions to, like, the different planets.
Where he's screaming. Oh, man.
This was such a great level. Like, this is one of my favorite levels of this game because of how just fun it was.
I definitely agree with that. It works on every front. It works the theming, the silliness of the game, the action, the great music, just good.
Mm-hmm. As well as, like, with the rockets and, like, planet hopping, the escape, like, when it's pizza time, and, like, how you have to get back to the planet you started from, was such a cool idea.
Yeah, definitely.
From here, we just had golf.
Golf. I love that it's just called golf.
Dude, the title card on this one is so funny.
It kills me. This summer, Pepino in golf. He's gonna need a bigger golf club.
But, like, genuinely, I freaking love mini golf. And so, like, this level was just a fun, bizarre little adventure.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like, yeah, no, I'm down for this. Like, again, there's just weird stuff in this level, but, like, each hole had, like, I love that, like, there's a whole bunch of different holes, and each one, like, you can just run through the level, but if you stop and go and play golf on each hole,
mm-hmm.
you get all of the top-ins.
Yeah.
I just thought that was, like, I'm like, this is such a brilliantly designed level. It's just fun.
There is, if you want a good sense of, like, what we're talking about, another favorite segment on the podcast I like to call, shout out to this guy who's more famous than me. Over on Relax-A-Lax's channel, he did a video specifically on the golf level of Pizza Tower. And it's a super great breakdown of, like, why it's such a good level.
Uh-huh.
And he like works through his process of, like, the first time he went through the level versus, like, replaying it to try and figure it out, and then once he's got it figured out, like, going for the P rank.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, a very solid breakdown of, like, why this stupid little, like, extra mini golf themed level is such a good level.
Mm-hmm. It was just that wad of cheese. That is your golf ball. Just, like, he's got, like, the big nerd glasses, and, like, I love him.
He's great.
And just his, like, casual, just, like, skipping around.
Mm-hmm. As well as, like, the little, like, point bonuses when you get the ball in the hole. Finally, Primo Berg. Like, they're all food stuff instead of, you know, like,
hot
golf
dog.
with, like, birds. Yeah. It's too good, man. This game's too good.
Yep. Oh man. But from there we go to our next big boss fight.
Yeah, speaking of things that are too good in this game.
This little freak.
The noise.
This fight felt like getting slapped in the face multiple times.
It did.
Like, I was not ready for him. It's It was the fact that he flips you off, and he has different animations for him doing it. You know what it reminded me of is Scott Pilgrim the game. The Todd Ingram fight, how he flips you off.
Yeah.
like that's what it reminded me of. But I was so just gobsmacked. I don't have a good enough word to describe how just like, what the heck is this thing?
Right. This is another, like, it's close to the Mort the Chicken situation, but for those who remember these old commercials back in the day, this is a reference to the Noid, who was like he was the mascot for, like, wasn't it Domino's?
I think it was Domino's.
I'm pretty sure it was Domino's. It was one of those, like, you know, chain pizza brands.
Uh-huh.
And like the Noid was a character who was like trying to steal people's pizza or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And like that's the thing. Obviously, his fame didn't last long because the Noid is a very annoying type of character.
Yeah, didn't he have like his own video game or a couple?
Yes, there was a Noid video game that was a tie-in, which is why I feel like the reference is so appropriate for this game, because he's not just an icon to like pizza chain restaurants, but also like a video game character as well. But yeah, like I was saying about the Noid, he's a very annoying character. So the fact that in referencing that, they purposely leaned into that with the noise and just made him this insufferable little turd who's like flipping you off and like using these really annoying tactics. Like he sets up for like a move where it looks like he's just going to go straight and then you go to jump over it and he jumps too.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of fake out attacks and everything. And just like... He's a chaotic little gremlin, and it works so well.
Yes. Like, I should clarify, like, I call him a little freak. Like, I love to hate him.
Yeah, he's a very love-to-hate character.
Like, I thrive on hating him, but, like, it loops around to, like, I love that about him.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was actually very surprised to find, this is like a small anecdote and then we'll get back to the actual boss fight, but in earlier builds of the game, he was a playable character. And he was the player 2 character.
Oh no.
And there's like first of all, people have used mods to put him back into the game as a playable character, but also have made a multiplayer mod of the game so that player 1 is Peppino and player 2 is the noise.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and like the fight, it's so funny how much Peppino, like it comes off that he doesn't like this guy.
Yeah.
Like which further adds to the, you know, his obnoxiousness, cuz like there's the cartoon dirt cloud when like you hit the phase 2 and like you're like rolling around the screen.
Yeah, instead of just like the good hard punch that like breaks up phase 1 and transitions to phase 2, it does that and then they like get into a fist fight. It does the cartoony, like you were saying, the dust cloud.
And then I love how it's broken up by like the balloon getting popped and getting closer and both of them freaking out over it.
Yeah, there's like the big like inflatable noise balloon in the background that just starts getting really big and they're both like, ah!
Yeah, well, I believe specifically there's a hole in it. And so it's like, it's like deflating and coming closer and it's terrifying. Which I love. Like, it's so silly and weird. Mm-hmm.
As well as, like, when you beat him.
Oh, my goodness.
He just, like, whips out this huge Gatling gun.
Yeah, like, the minigun just pops it out and just Peppino, like, screaming. And then just all of a sudden, just... I believe it's Noisette.
Yes, Noisette.
Just coming in and dragging him off and him screaming.
Mm-hmm.
It was so just, like... I was like... You know what? Sure.
It's like, we didn't know how to end the fight, so we're just gonna have Noisette come in and break it up.
Noisette is just going to end the fight.
And it's the fact that, like, while she's dragging him off, like, once he gets close to the edge of the screen, like, he just screams.
Like, help me! Do you know what other cartoon this makes me think of is freaking Chowder?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I'm not your boyfriend!
Oh, that's good.
Oh, man.
That's the thing, too. Like, if you only just play the game and don't look at any of the outside material or, like, development history of this game, this is a very hard to understand fight.
Yes.
Because, like, everything that happens here just kind of happens without any consequence or explanation. Like, the appearance of Noisette and everything, or, like, the implied, like, already existing relationship between Peppino and the Noise. That was one of the things, like, during earlier development of the game, there were just, like, comics.
Oh, right!
That the creator of the game was making, and a lot of them were just, like, the Noise trolling Peppino. And I assume a lot of that stuff is probably why initially the Noise was, like, the Player 2 character. Because he was meant to have a bigger role, but then ended up not doing so. And Noisette was a featured character in the comics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's even, it's kind of interesting. There's sort of an implied, like, friendship between Noisette and the Vigilante.
Huh.
And so there is one of the secret rooms in the overworld is, like, Noisette's cafe. There's just, like, a little cafe there, and what's his face? The Vigilante is, like, there having a drink.
Huh.
And so, like, apparently that is just, like, a little nod to those comics. I haven't seen much of them myself, but this is apparently the story.
That's cool as heck.
Yeah, but if you just play the game without getting any of the context, then it's just like, what?
It's another slap to the face.
Oh, man, but it's time for the biggest slap to the face.
Oh my gosh. World 4, the slum. So, here's the funny thing for me. I thought this was the last world of the game.
Yeah.
Because of the opening and, like, the 4, you know, like there's the 4 bosses and the one is hidden in shadow, and so I thought, oh, that's going to be the final boss.
You're like, that's the final boss. But then you also have to consider, like, well, Pizza Face, though, right?
Uh-huh. I figured there would be something there, but, like, I legit thought this was the last world, so I was like, oh, we're ending going to the slums? Like...
Yeah, this is the end of the game?
And so it was really funny. It was just like, huh. Okay. Weird flex, but I'll follow you, game. Oh, man. So,
we get a great level to start off
yes.
with.
Holy crap, the Pig City. I love this level.
This is a really good level.
This level is so funny and weird, and it has, like, a consistent narrative through it with, like, the taxi drivers, like, that you take to each place, and then you know, there's the one that's an undercover cop, and so you get arrested, and then you play as Gustavo and Brick.
And you gotta jailbreak Peppino.
I know. Well, and then like, Brick with the mouse balloons here, like, just how he, like, inhales the air and then burps it out to get a second jump. Like, it's so just silly, and I love it.
I love the police officers that, like, cuff you with the sausage links.
Yup.
And then you have to, like, build speed so you can ram into them.
As well as, like, the Elvis impersonator pigs just jamming.
There's some good background characters in that one.
And then of course there's Pizza Face, like in when you're doing pizza time, how he's the taxi driver.
Yeah.
that killed me, dude. I was laughing so hard at that.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh my gosh. Like,
just a great level.
I genuinely love this level. It's so fun. And again, like, because it was the constant, like, taxi driving with, like, Peppino, like, sitting there just kind of casually staring out the window with, like, this, like, grizzled-looking pig with a cigarette in his mouth. Like,
yeah.
and then suddenly Peppino freaking out because it's a cop. Like, it's so funny and weird.
Oh, man. It's A+ theming.
Mm-hmm. From there, we had the Pepperbot factory.
Yep.
Yet, wait, hang on. It says you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the pizza.
Oh boy. Pepperbot Factory. This one's got a really cool look to it. I'm a huge fan of factory levels in video games.
Yeah, this was cool. The bit at the end of the level where, like, you're like, oh, there's the door, and then the hand just starts carrying it away. It makes me think of that one level in Sonic Generations with the troll goalpost.
The troll post.
Yes. Like, that was exactly what it made me think of, and I was like, oh my goodness, I love this.
It's a nice little thing. It's also funny to watch speedruns do that because they get the what is it? They just run past because they know the goal's gonna be there. And then they go down into a pizza box and then back into the room to make it just like load faster because they're like, yeah, it's gonna troll me. I know. Let's just get to the end.
Oh man, but it's so silly.
Let me think. Was this the one with the pizza box ability?
Yeah, this is the one.
Okay.
That's why I said you die a hero or you live long enough to become the pizza.
Right.
Which, this was such a weird like, of all the abilities, this was the weirdest ability.
And yet, in a way, the most on brand, because it's a pizza box.
Yup.
But it's just the fact that he, like, is, like, crouched inside the box and then, like, flaps the box like wings. Good.
It's so silly. I love it.
Grade A comedy.
Yeah, speaking of grade A comedy.
Oh yeah, this level.
This level.
the only level whose name we can't say on this show. This is Scheisse.
Oh, shiitake mushrooms on my pizza. Okay, here's the thing too. This level was a double slap in the face.
I'm gonna, even though we're not saying the swear, I'm gonna put a censor bleep over shiitake.
So here's the thing, right? This level was a slap in the face just because this is the name of the level. Yep. And I was not ready for that, that's what makes it so funny. But also, so this same day that we did this level.
That's right!
So, okay, like I mentioned, I've been building a house. I've been very tired. And like, you know, I get to the build site and we're cleaning up so that we can have somebody make a delivery for a bunch of stuff that's going to go to the house.
Yeah.
And so I go around to the backyard of my house. And somebody took a crap in a cardboard box in my backyard of this house that I'm building.
And just
left it there for me to find. But the worst part is that for the building project, we have an outside, like a porta potty in front of my house. And I'm like, why didn't you go use it?
It's right there.
It's right there. And so, like, that happened to me, and then I came back, like I came home that night, and we set up to play this game, and then we get to this level, and I was like, are you serious?
Level on this particular
day.
Oh.
Like, it was a double slap in the face, where I was like, are you serious? Is this my legacy?
The game is listening.
Hockey mushrooms on my pizza.
Every copy of Pizza Tower is personalized.
A personalized slap in the face. Oh my goodness.
I forgot that those happened on the same day.
Yes!
Oh.
But one of my favorite things about this level, because this one and the next level, that was where we started looking at the backgrounds.
Yes.
And just all of the nonsense just there.
The goofy little details.
Yeah, just that was so much fun, just looking, like, in the background, like, what is that? Wait, what does that say? What is this a drawing of?
Mm-hmm. I do also love the title card for this level, how it's just, like, that huge blob of cheese coming out of the pipe, and Peppino just like, ah! You know, most likely thinking the title of this level.
Yup. Oh my goodness.
Oh shit. Hockey mushrooms.
Oh man. But yeah, from where do we go from here? To refrigerator, freezerator.
One of the best level names.
I love the song title that plays here is "Don't preheat your oven, otherwise this song won't play." Dude, but also, like, the music here is so good. This is another banger, like, level. And then,
I remember when we got to this one, I specifically made the comment, like, hey, you remember how Sonic Ice levels always have good music?
And I was like, yeah. And then we got here and I was like,
in there and start listening.
Yes, give me more of this. And then just, there's the evil Santa Claus enemies that throw enemies at you. And then just the cherry on top, the greatest slap in the face. Just Satan's choice. And it's just the pepper on the slice of pizza.
The spiciest of peppers.
By the powers of naughtiness, I command this particular drop of hot sauce to be really, really hot. And it's the fact that, like, Peppino, like, is animated the same, but he's just red. And just on fire. But, like, all of his other animations are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And just, like, dude, it's the Metroid, like, the screw attack with the space jump. This is such a cool power-up. It's the fact that it's, like, dude, I'm a weenie when it comes to spicy foods. And, like, the horrid thought that I had when he ate that, and I was like, oh no, Peppino, that's gonna destroy you in 6 to 8 hours.
You're gonna need to go back to the other level.
Oh man. No, but, like, genuinely melting the ice. And then what I really love about this level is there's the free milk at the end to get rid of the power up. But then from there, you go into lap 2, and then you don't have the power-up for lap 2, and so you have to take whatever path you carved out for yourself in lap 1. Which is just, like, it's a brilliant idea of gameplay. Like, I freaking love it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just imagining, like, what's up, YouTube? I'm a Peppino. Welcome to a Hot to Pepper Gaming. Today I'm gonna review a pizza tower.
But first I'm gonna eat the Satan's Choice. And then just all of the faces he would make as he's trying to... Oh my goodness. Oh. Man, okay, we're recording a show. I gotta focus.
We gotta pull it together.
We're
almost done.
Oh man, yeah. So from all of that, we go to boss 4, which is
Peppino is fighting Peppino.
I love that after you beat him, if you come back, the artwork is different, and it says fake Peppino.
Yeah, the first time you go, it's just your mirrored image, and it says Peppino versus Peppino. But then when you redo it, yeah, how they changed the title card to fake Peppino is super cool. This is one of the best bosses in the game.
Yeah, I will say though, this fight is weird.
It's really weird. Like, it does everything perfectly to throw you off.
Uh-huh. Well, like, the fact that, like, it's the first... Before you hit him, he just kind of runs at you, and then you hit him, and then he just melts. And then more start coming. And then, like, there's that point where he takes off his head and throws it at you.
Yeah.
And, like, there's... Listening to the soundtrack especially, like, there's this weird version of Pizza Time playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's all, like, weird and distorted and just...
Right. The title is, like, in all caps, like, Pizza Time will never end.
Yup. And this fight was crazy, dude. There's so much that happens.
I love that the music starts with that, like, kind of broken, like, marimba sound of, like, the Pizza Tower theme. And then it, like, picks up speed, but it's still got that, like, echoey, dissonant, like uncomfortable feel. Something's
off about this.
And then it just goes into, like, crazy, like, D&B.
Uh-huh.
And it's when it gets to that part of the song, it's so good.
Mm-hmm. As well as, like, how the background is, like, Peppino's Pizzeria, and then all of a sudden it warps and twists into, like, there's something weird. I mean, I already knew something was weird here, but this is really weird.
Like, it's getting weirder somehow. It's the fact that, like, all the clones, like, melt.
Yup.
I love the
What did you say to me? You were like, so this is our Metal Sonic of this universe. And I was like, okay.
I did say it. I mean, it's such an unusual yet cool spin on, like, the evil doppelganger.
Uh-huh.
Because it's like, there's even a bit of world building, in, like, a later level that we'll get to that, like, adds, to this fight. But, like, there's sort of a belief that all of these, like, Peppino clones were, like, made out of cheese.
Uh-huh.
And that's why, like, they melt when they die.
It's funny, if you think about all of the toppings that we're mostly fighting, and then, of course, there's the noise who breaks this whole thing. But the fact that, like, alright, so we've got peppers, cheese, the noise, somehow, and then extra cheese.
Extra cheese. Oh, this is the cheese they use to stuff the crust. This is dangerous.
This is the cheese that they found under the ovens. No, you know what that is? It's the escape portion of this fight.
That's the other thing, too. Like, you just beat him, and then just the music hard cuts.
And you drop down.
And then just the floor breaks out from under you. And then you're in this tunnel with this...
thing.
Whatever fake Peppino is.
Dude, that was the thing, too. When we started, I just saw, like, the briefest bit of movement. You're like, I'm going. And you did not let me get a good look at that. And that somehow made this worse.
It does, right? Because you're like, I'm not looking back.
I was like, I didn't see what it is. What is it? There was a lot of weird stuff happening up there. So what is this thing that is chasing me?
Yeah. That is, okay, this final, like, tunnel escape during the boss it's haunting and it's heart-pounding. Because it's, like I said, the music just hard cuts. And it's this very, like, kind of smooth and, like, trippy and surreal D&B. And then it's just, like, blasting, like, orchestra hits with this really, like, frantic, like, that, like, makes you, like, oh, I gotta run.
Just
like,
nope
that,
out of there.
In and of itself, is almost kind of like a jump scare. I had this, like, theory, because I'd never been, like, had him catch up and hit me. I had this, like, wonder if, like, oh, maybe you get jump scared when he grabs you. No, he just deals damage, so that kind of takes some of the tension out of the fight.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. As well as you showed me Peppino's jump scare at the start, like, the main menu. And so I was like, oh, so that's a thing in this game.
So there's just jump scares in this game.
Please run away.
That is the thing, though. Like, it's just the fear of the unknown. How it's like you've beaten the boss, and you're just ready for a victory screen, and then you go to the next level, and then it just hits you with this, like, horrific moment.
This horrific nightmare. And then, like, the fact that, like, when you get to the exit, and, like, you see it's Bruno's Pizza, but, like, the N is a Z, so it's like Bruzo's Pizza. What's the one sign, like, do not come in, nobody inside, or it's like, oh, what does it say? Like, because it's written in a way that you can read it two different ways.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, like, it's so just unsettling. And, like, you can see, like, his eyes and just him, like, at the door.
Yeah, and, like, his, like, kind of his fingers, like, reaching through, like, he's like, oh no, come back. I want to play some more. There's even, like, you know what's really freaky about this, like, tunnel escape part? In the music, you can hear a faint voice clip of this really deep voice shouting, Peppino, come over here now! And it's just like, it's so upsetting.
Yeah, because it's like, it's do not enter inside, but then it can also be read, do enter not inside.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, I hate that. I really hate that.
Oh, you want to hear some more fun trivia about this boss fight?
What?
Once you start the boss fight, if you're playing the game in windowed mode, the name of the window will change from just, like, you know, Pizza Tower to Fighting a Weirdo in the Pizza Tower.
Oh my goodness. I also love there's like a sign that says free drink, but with a question mark.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
Do I want that free drink? Probably not.
Yeah. So creepy. Like, that's the thing, though. I love that this fight, like, you don't learn this until after you beat him, and then you can kind of work in reverse to piece everything together, but like this fight takes place in an abandoned pizzeria.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this is just me like theory crafting, but just like the initial vibes that I get from this fake Peppino is that like he's trying to copy you because he wants to be like you. And so he just made this like abandoned pizzeria his lair. And it's because there's like the sign, like you said at the beginning, where it's like Peppino's Pizzeria 2.
Yup.
And then like the name of it keeps changing as you go through the fight and everything. And so it's like just whatever this thing is, it's like trying to mimic you. And there's something so unsettling about that.
Like, the thing is, there's lore there, and I bet if you go digging it up, you could find it. But, like, I almost don't want to, because, like, again, it's that fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. There's also shout out to the modding community. There's a playable fake Peppino mod.
Of course. Of course.
Fans really like this. There's also during like on the OST version of the escape, it might even be in game, but it's just the escape sequence doesn't usually last long enough that you'd hear it. But at the end of the track, there's just this really cool guitar solo. That just, like, happens. Like, the rest of the tense, scary chase music cuts off, and then just this really clean guitar solo plays at, like, the end of the track. Huh. And I'm like, why is this only, like, on the OST? Very interesting.
Yeah.
Alright, we can move on.
Yeah. I was gonna say I had a transition, but just speaking of creepy... World 5 staff only.
Staff only. This is
This area was creepy as heck, dude.
Customers are not supposed to be here.
Yep. My goodness, this area was like unsettling.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best like sound and art design.
Yes,
made to like make you feel upset.
Yeah, well, it's what is it? Gustavo and Brick. How like, you know, when you're looking at them, they're playing it cool and they're like, yeah, whatever. And then as soon as you look away, they're like, I don't want to be here. They're like holding each other.
Yeah.
Name a better bromance, dude. Like.
Yeah, it's just so like immediately you get there and you're just like, I am not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I'm scared what they will do to me when they find me.
Yeah. Especially coming off the heels of fake Peppino into this. And like the ruined like Pillar John robot in the background that just oh, dude.
Because that's the thing. You experience just, you know, the fake Peppino fight, and you're like, whoa, that was, like, weirdly creepy out of nowhere. And then you, like, beat the level and things progress, so you're like, okay, so, like, that was just a one-time thing, right? And then you get here and you're like, is the rest of this game just horror? Like...
Uh-huh. And for us, we have these out of order in our notes, but, like... The level we did after this was horror. And I was just like, what the heck?
I kind of did that on purpose because I just wanted to get it all out of the way.
Fair. But, yeah, the next one on our list is Pizza Scare.
Pizza Scare. This level is great.
This is such a good level. Dude, the first thing is right when you walked out and I heard the beginning of the main... like that the music, I was like, yo, we get in a Castlevania level.
It's so Castlevania.
It's so awesome. Castlevania. I also love that the name of the track is There's a Bone in My Spaghetti.
That's right.
Oh man. No, but this was a cool level. The like the little ghost that follows you around and is trying to kill you. It reminded me of the ghosts in Sonic 3 and Knuckles Sandopolis.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it was really neat.
There was also kind of like the, like the floating sun in Super Mario Bros. 3 that like chases you. Little stuff like that, but it's a poltergeist that like needs to go into different objects to try and attack you. And how you have to kind of like use him some of those times.
Yup. As well as, I loved how the priests give you, like, the cross, and then you can kill the ghosts.
Mm-hmm. I didn't actually know about this, but when you have your, like, holy power, if you do your taunt ability, it, like, screen nukes everything.
Really? That's cool.
There's some cool stuff. I love that it's themed around, like stuff from, like, the Satanic Panic from, the 90s and 80s, like... there's like all the castle structures. It's got like a Dungeons and Dragons feel.
There's the pizza wizards.
There's like wizards and like witchcraft and whatever. There's like the poltergeists, like, there's like the fear of like demons and possessions and things. It's a very solid level.
Yeah, this is a great level. And then we go to our next level.
Anxiety Incarnate.
Yeah. Don't make a sound.
I love how, like, intentionally off the title card is. That it's, like, everything is, like, super cheery.
It's, like, bright neon colors and...
And there's all of, like, the, the level-specific enemies that we'll talk about. Like, they're, like, all having fun with Peppino. But then there's, like, that one, like, corner that's, like, in shadow.
With the title? Just, like,
the title in, like, a deep red.
Uh-huh.
Like a horror movie red. And the level is called Don't Make a Sound. So it's, like, immediately you're just like, what have I gotten into?
Uh-huh.
And it's a haunted pizzeria!
Oh my gosh, it's Freddy Fazbear himself.
Okay, like, here's the thing, though. FNAF did not invent...
No, it did not. It's
the vibe of haunted pizzerias.
It made it popular.
Yeah, it definitely made it popular, but, like, I promise you, like, people were creeped out by, singing animatronics in pizzerias before FNAF existed.
Oh, long before. That stuff is nightmare fuel. The thing is, I actually had a ton of fun with this level.
Me too.
Like, don't get me wrong, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I was stressed, especially with some of the close calls we made.
Yeah. Like, and there was actually, we did get jumped at one point.
We got jumped at one, I think once. And then there were several that we were close.
Yeah, we cut it really close.
You juked them, and I thought you were gonna get jumped. That was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so to clarify, like, this level combines jump scares and stealth.
Yup.
So you, all the enemies have little, like, searchlights, and if they spot you, a countdown starts that will trigger one of the animatronics in the pizzeria to just beeline it towards you. And they all have different, like, movement patterns. Like, there's the tall, lanky one that'll just kind of, like, run and jump.
Well, what's great about them, I didn't realize this when we were playing because I was so freaked out. They're based on all of the toppings.
Yeah, they are.
Because there's the sausage, there's the mushroom, there's the tomato, the cheese.
The tomato, the cheese. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I
didn't and then you don't see them until your escape. But the pineapple is that, like, Elvis impersonator that sends the flying pineapples at you.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't catch it during our playthrough. But then when I went back to look at it, I was like, oh, that's what they are.
Yeah, this one just, like, good vibes. There's also, like, again, development history stuff. There's a very good reason for the existence of this game. And that's because before Pizza Tower was made, the devs made like a short game. I think it might have been for a game jam or something, but it was just a very short little teaser called Pizza Massacre.
Huh.
Which was like wholesale a horror game that starred Peppino as the main character.
Really?
And the, like the butcher sausage guy?
Yeah.
It's basically like that. You're going through a haunted pizzeria, and then, there are moments where, like, the butcher sausage dude is, like, chasing after you, and you have to, like, hide from him and, like, escape him when he starts getting more aggressive and whatever.
Fascinating.
And so, like, this game actually is the origins of, Peppino.
That's crazy.
We didn't even cover this. His full name is Peppino Spaghetti.
That's right.
Just really leaning into the Italian stereotypes.
Yeah. Well, and probably funny. My favorite thing about this level is the ending. When you get the gun.
They're just like, all that stress, all that anxiety you had, just friggin' blast him. Like, shoot him square in the face. Like, who cares anymore?
I said this when we were playing it, but like, I remembered that you talked to me about this idea for a game.
Yes.
Like, where basically you're like, all right, I want to put the player in a very tense situation, and the object of the player is to turn it around. Like, to all of a sudden, like, remove the tension.
Mm-hmm. I was specifically thinking of, like, naming the game Diffuse the Tension. And so it's like you're put into various horror scenarios where you are extremely powerless and are doing your best just to survive through, like axe murderers and like, monsters chasing you and like psychological horror and whatever else, ghosts, the whole shebang. Like you're just thrust into a bunch of horror scenarios, like one per level. And then once you get the sort of MacGuffin that will help you diffuse that tension, you suddenly become extremely powerful, and whatever the monster or the threat for that level is now like running from you, and you're getting payback. And so to see that a game actually did that is super cool.
I know, like, and it played out exactly how you explained it to me, that I was like, this is such a good idea. And so it's great to like actually see it.
I wanna put on my snobbish game dev glasses for a minute to talk about this, because that's the thing. Like, horror as a concept thrives on powerlessness.
Yep.
Like the fact that you can't do anything to change your circumstances. It's what makes horror stories so like upsetting but also compelling, is like you're looking for any advantage you can possibly get, and you're just powerless the whole time. In my personal opinion, so many people disagree with me, and that's fine if you disagree, but in my opinion, powerlessness makes a video game boring.
Yeah.
Or, like, if not boring, then frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And most horror games depend on said concept of, like, oh, you can just barely get away from the killer or the monster or whatever. And so it either results in very boring gameplay where you can't do a lot, or, like, very frustrating gameplay where you can only just barely escape. So the idea that they let you experience that powerlessness first, and then give you a way to fight back and turn it around, that feels even more satisfying, because you had to suffer to get to this point, and then you get the catharsis, the release. So, like, A+ level design. Like, I hate jump scares.
Yup.
But this is a case of them being used extremely well.
Oh, extremely well. Plus, I love just the meme potential of Peppino loading the shotgun, going, "Pizzeria's haunted." What? Pizzeria's haunted.
We gotta move. Pizzeria's haunted. This is, like... That's the thing. I usually say that I don't like horror, But it's more so just that I like very specific types of execution on horror. Mm-hmm. And this is one case where like it gets it really right. Anyways, I'll take off my snob glasses now. We're actually at the peak of horror now.
Yeah.
The horrors of war.
War. God, that was... My favorite thing was how you set up this level for me. Because you were like, oh, like, I think this is where you explained to me, like, Pizza Face's motivations.
Yes.
Where you're like, he just wants to make Peppino suffer. And you're like, I want you to just think about these last 3 levels. So we have, like, you know, the horrors from the Satanic Panic of, like, demons and possession and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. Or, like, now we just went into, like, a haunted animatronic where, like, it's literal horror. Here is the final one. And then you just go in and the title chord just... War.
And that card is so intense.
Yeah. It's just Peppino, like, screaming. It's all red and just... It was so funny. This was a great final level.
This one was so good because, like, again, it's the fact that, like, the first thing they make you go through is, you know, the jump scare level and everything. And there's so much of just that, like, tension and carefulness. And now this one, they change gears. It's another form of psychological torment, but it's just panic. It's just, go, go, go. You're gonna die. Move.
The pressure was on in this level, and I was here for it.
Mm-hmm. And the time limit is so strict on this one.
Oh, we died a couple of times trying to get through this.
We were, like, right there at the door, and then ran out of time.
Yup.
As well as hurt my feelings.
And that's the thing too, is there's no, like, pizza time, like it's time limit time, like, the whole time. The time limit entire level there.
And it's like your time limit is always just barely enough that you can get to these little checkpoints that will add to your total time.
Yep.
So you are literally 5 seconds away from losing the entire level.
Yup.
But also it's the fact that, once again, they give you the shotgun.
They give you the shotgun.
They give you the means to just blast through everything, but you have to do it with precision.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. This was a cool final level.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, as I was kind of alluding to with the fake Peppino thing, so there are Peppino clones in this level as well.
Mm-hmm.
As well as, like, a, I forget, I think it might be, like, from an earlier build or something, or, like, something hidden in the game's code or whatever, but there is, linked with the data of this level, there's, like, a room with, like, a test tube with, like, a Peppino inside there.
Ha!
Implying that, like, this is where they were making the Peppino clones.
Oh my gosh, they're shadow androids.
Oh, that's so stupid.
It is, that's why it's funny.
It is.
But also, the implication of the psychological damage this would do to Peppino. Of, like...
Yep.
Not just going to war, but, like, killing himself.
Yeah, seeing it just over and over again, having to shoot yourself in order to make it through an area. It's a different kind of trauma than horror, but it's like, it's war trauma, and Pizza Face is trying to inflict this onto Peppino to drive him insane.
Oh my goodness. This was nuts, dude.
Such a crazy final level.
And so I was like, okay, where do we go from here?
Before we get to the final boss, there is something I want to talk about, because you'll notice, looking at the list of levels, there's 4 levels per world, right? And then technically, like, we'll talk about the ending when we get to the ending. Like, technically there is more to do here, but there's 3 levels in the lobby. there was a cut 4th level for the
really?
final world.
I didn't know about this.
From earlier builds of the game, there's a level that is simply called, like, the Mansion, or something like that. You remember that secret area that we found?
Oh, the manor? Yeah. Like,
right. So it was, like, a nod to that, basically. The Mansion level. Because that one was built, like, really early on in development. And then ended up just getting scrapped in favor of a lot of the other stuff. But, like, so that final secret area is, like, a bit of a nod to that.
Huh.
There is so much fascinating history about early development, because this game has changed so much.
Yeah, holy cow.
And it's also, like, very documented, because, like, the crowdfunding process, a lot of people got to look into it and got to play these early builds of the game.
Dang.
One of my favorites, actually, there was a demo that they made for the Sage Expo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For those not in the know, that's the Sonic in Gaming Expo. It is where people, like, share their, like, indie projects that they're making, particularly themed around like, for Sonic fans. So a lot of what you see there is Sonic fan games or mods of existing games. But then there's also, like, people that are inspired by Sonic games to make original games. And, you know, as we know, there's a lot that Pizza Tower does borrow from the Sonic series. One of my favorite aspects about the demo, you don't really get to see the character in the final build of the game, but during the Sage demo, there's this little guy called Snick the Porcupine.
I do know about him.
You have seen this guy, right? He's a little, like, purple porcupine with red shoes.
And a hat, right? Doesn't he have a hat?
Yeah. I believe he's got a hat, yeah. But it's, like, very clearly like a caricature, a play on Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Except he's just, like, a little guy. And he's a lot of fun. There's, like, when you beat everything in the demo, you get, like, a bonus challenge where you have to do a level while running from snick.exe.
Oh my goodness.
A reference to that, because it's the Sage Expo where all the Sonic fan games and fan stuff are, so it's like, that's a pretty good callback, especially when there's, like, minor, like, horror roots in Pizza Tower's design. It's like,
yeah,
that's pretty clever. As well as, like, when you beat the whole thing and you beat his challenge, you get to play as Snick.
Oh, that's great. I know there's in the ice level, one of the milk cartons has a picture of him and it just says missing.
Yeah. That's right.
I knew about that one.
Right.
I didn't know that was where all of his origins were. Dang.
There is also a, in one of the secret rooms, you can find Snick, in there, but he's, like, white instead of purple, so.
Huh.
The, rip-offiness is a little less blatant.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, mainly, like, okay, so that was kind of a non sequitur, but, like, we're very known on this podcast for being Sonic fans, and so I figured, like, Sonic relevant trivia, that'd be good to bring up.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. I didn't know any of that.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna, like, message you that and say it while we were just, you know, getting ready for the episode. I was like, no, I'll drop this one on the episode.
Another slap to the face. There it is.
Oh, but we've had enough slaps to the face. What do you say we go give somebody else's face a slap?
Yeah.
Pizza face.
So, right off the bat, the build-up to this was so great, because there was that room with the faces.
Yeah, there's the hallway with, like, the different, you know, pizza face.
Yeah, just, like, those purple faces in the background. I was like, oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate this. And then all of a sudden you get to the shower.
No, because there's, like, just the faces there, and then as you're moving, one of them turns to look at you.
That's right. One of them does turn. That's what it was.
Which, again, just, like, using horror roots to its advantage. It's like Undertale and Deltarune, where it's not, like, upfront a horror game, but it knows how to set the vibe to create fear.
Uh-huh.
But then, yes, like you said, we encounter a shower.
Pizza face just poking out. Just, oh, sorry. Let me just go away. Like, but I think that's perfect because, like, we've been dealing with so much horror and everything that, like, you know, it's gearing up for that. And then it's just something, like, very silly.
Just a little bit of levity so we can, like, calm down and get our nerves ready for the final battle.
Yeah, and I was like, I really appreciated that because of, like, everything we'd been through. Like, I needed that laugh.
Yep. One last very good demonstration of what I was saying about diffusing tension.
Mm-hmm.
But then we reach the top of the tower for our final fight.
Our first fight, and the fact that it's the freaking Bowser from
Super Mario World.
Yes! Oh my goodness. Like, I was like, this is so great.
Literally, like, on the top of a castle.
Yup.
Picking up the mooks thrown down by the boss and throwing them up back at him.
It's perfect. It's so perfect.
Excellent.
And that was the thing, too, as I was watching, I was like, okay, this seems fairly easy, but I feel like there will be a phase 2.
Right.
And there is.
And then we get our reveal. After you beat Pizza Face, we get Pizza Head.
Just that shot of him sitting on the toilet with the newspaper and then just getting to meet Pizza Head.
The true embodiment of, like, trying to get a rise out of you for fun.
It's everything about the way that he moves and, like, the music. Because I want to say it samples. This is a fascinating thing. I found this in the comments. I meant to look it back up.
Yeah.
But, like, the bit of the song that it samples from. Oh gosh, it's like, I'm trying to think of what era it was, but, like, that old-timey music apparently is a song about, like, children who, like, ask for stuff for Christmas and then, like, they get what they want and then they don't want it.
Oh.
And so it literally, like, samples, like, the voice line of, like, you want it, you don't want, you want it, you don't want.
Oh my goodness.
And so literally, like...
And if you think about it, that's what's happening here, because what Pizza Face wanted was to drive Peppino insane. And now that he's up here and he's going insane, he's kicking his butt.
Yup.
That is great.
I know, it's insane.
That is some great subtle storytelling.
I know, and, like, you wouldn't even, like, notice it, but, like, Pizza Head is so just, like, he is the embodiment of the troll.
Yes.
Of, like it's his big cheesy grin, the way he, like, tiptoes away, and, like...
He's not even, like, a menacing, imposing villain. He is, like, goofy and, like, mundane. Like, he's just wearing, like, overalls.
It's funny, we keep comparing stuff to, like, old cartoons, but, like, he looks like he belongs in freaking Cuphead.
Yeah.
like, he would just fit right in there.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody is working on a Pizza Tower mod for Cuphead.
Oh, easy. But, like, and it's, like, all of his attacks are so just, like, look at me, I'm so silly. Like, the way he, again, like I said, the way he tiptoes across the battlefield. He, like, pulls up that picture of himself in a bikini and then puts it away. He's like, oh, he's like, we're supposed to see that.
That's risque. Yeah.
You know, and then, like,
It's the fact that you're combining like the two most like annoying interactions of the internet is like deliberate trolling and like attention whoring.
Yes.
Basically. That is Pizza Head.
Gosh. He's just Twitter.
He's just Twitter.
Oh man. But yeah, like this second phase, I was so just like, what is happening?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like you were there's the build up, right? Because the background track it's separated into the 3 phases, but like the track is called Unexpectancy, and you know part 1 of the track goes really hard. It's like insane guitar solos, and it's this like building, you know, climax. But like you said, the first phase is easy, so you're anticipating like this is gonna get crazier in phase 2. And it gets crazier in the sense that it gets sillier. But it's just weird. You're like, there's no, like, you know, finality to it.
There's no, like, and it's that weird thing where, like, we've spent so long seeing Pizza Face that now we just, like, Pizza Head comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this is our big final villain.
This is our big bad, huh?
Interesting.
But fortunately, the game is purposely trolling, and it's unsatisfying on purpose, and they're like, alright, time for the real finale.
The real finale. So that's the thing, too, is, like, because he's all beat up, and then he's like, he gets up, again, in true troll fashion of like, nope, just kidding, I got all my health back, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Tiptoes over and starts bringing out every boss. And I legit was like, no. Are we really doing a boss rush after all of this?
Yeah.
And then Peppino finally snaps.
What happens next will shock you.
So I need to explain to you, like I said, I kept bringing it up. This game felt like a slap in the face. Constantly. And that little bit right there where I was like, are you kidding me? A boss rush? And then Peppino snapping?
It's the fact that like you hear like the really imposing guitar in the background music, and as all of the bosses appear, and you're just like dreading like what's gonna come next, and then the screen just cuts to black after Peppino screams, and then just goes to the onslaughts.
I need to express to you, I connected with Peppino on a spiritual level in this moment. Because like I said, I had been so tired and overworked and just like, again, I kept having to call our play session short because I was so exhausted.
Mm-hmm. And there was so much of life just screwing you over constantly.
Yes. And so just like, in this moment, I connected with this man as he just unloads with them. You saw it whenever you'd unload the combo, and I was just shouting, "Just die! Die!"
Because that's the thing. Like whenever you beat like one of the phases of the other bosses, it does that little like zoom in thing where Peppino does like the big punch. This time, instead of that, just every time you hit them, Peppino just, like, slaps and kicks and punches and wails on the bosses.
It is so satisfying to just watch him shred through their hit points.
You just look at their health bar, and it's just flying off. Like, whereas, like, you do, like, one little peg of health every time you hit them, it's like 4 damage per hit.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful sprite work of Peppino just furiously unloading everything.
I legit, like, I was so hyped at this point. like, this is the same level of hype that I felt when I was, like, fighting Titans in Sonic Frontiers. Like, I was so excited for this. And, like, I had such a good time. Mm-hmm. Like, this part of this boss fight was so freaking good. I love that the music, there's a reprise of the Lap 2 theme, the death I deserve a Rolly.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant because it's a boss rush. So we are literally doing Lap 2 against the bosses.
Yup.
And then one of my favorite things, I saw 2 comments that I was like, yes, this is exactly correct. The first one was that, like, the Peppino jump scare at the pause menu. This is what the bosses see every time he goes in to land a hit. Yes! And then I love that. The other comment that I saw that I love is, once again, these guys forgot the golden rule. If you hurt Peppino too much, you can go to hell.
I love that. I need to also throw in the ring, like, a YouTube comment that I saw on the final boss theme. Somebody said, like, this is not a game about a funny little tower and a bunch of pizza jokes. This is a game about what a man does when he's pushed to his limit.
Yup.
And I'm like, oh my goodness.
This moment was so great. Like, and you know,
it's amazing how it's like, it's a good challenge for a final boss, but it's just pure catharsis.
Uh-huh. As well as that finisher.
Oh, yeah, because, like, that's the thing. For the boss rush, like, Gustavo pops in, and you can just pick him up and throw him, and immediately, like, incapacitate the bosses, too.
Uh-huh.
Which is, like, also great. But then, like, you actually get to fight...
Man.
Yeah. Then you actually get to fight, you know, Pizza Head, and it's, like, sort of his same... like, shtick of, like, having all these silly attacks and everything, but, like, you can tell he's trying to trick you, and so you have to, like, figure out the timing to all of his moves, and he keeps, like, adding more attacks to his list of moves that he does. Mm-hmm. And then once you finally, like, read everything, figured out his patterns, gotten through and gotten the hits in, just that final, like, wailing of... that flurry of fists that Peppino unloads.
It's animated so beautifully, like how, like, it's the same thing, but then they're, like, spinning and then just slowly rising into the air as Peppino is just juggling him. And just unloading every ounce of just hatred and suffering that he has felt onto this troll. And then just into the pile driver.
Just grabs onto him and like flings themselves like straight down to the tower.
It's the fact that the camera cuts to the outside of the tower and you just see like them falling towards it, and then it cuts, like, it zooms in on Peppino like holding him and going down.
Well, and you can see like the sweat flying off Peppino, and just like his muscles, like, so tense, like, holding him in this death grip as they plummet.
I saw a comic, and I was cracking up so much, because it's a pizza face, and he's all beaten up, and he's like, what the heck? You're fat! How are you able to hit Mach speeds? How are you this strong? And, like, Peppino is, like, ripping off his shirt. He's like, don't you know, this is the peak male physique.
You may not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like.
Yeah, that's what it was, peak male performance.
That final slam. The other thing too, like, it's hard to time it because you're mostly just concentrated on, beating the boss. But, like, if you get, like, that final guitar solo while you're doing the finishing attack to, like, sync up with it, it's so hype.
It's so good. I freaking loved this moment.
And, like that's the thing. I think it still rings true, what I said about how the game uses tonal shifts as part of its humor. So, like we saw with the intro, how there's suddenly, like, the buff Peppino and the really detailed pizza face. Like, it's funny. Like, it's serious. It's too serious, and that makes it funny.
Yep.
And so that technically still applies here, because everything that's happening here is absurd. But it kind of, like, for just a moment, just, like, breaks out of that and just is cool.
Yes.
Like, not for funny, but just, like, actually cool.
It's not, like, cool in the sense of being funny. Yeah. I get exactly what you mean, because this was so hype.
It's kind of, to go back to comparing it to 90s cartoons, you know what it kind of makes me think of is,
what?
Like, the finale to Ed, Ed and Eddy, the final movie. How, like, it's kind of not funny. And it's actually, like, pretty serious for most of the movie, and you see a lot of characters, like, pushed to their mental limits.
Yeah.
It kind of has that same vibe to it, and I think that's why it works, because it worked really well for Ed, Ed and Eddy. Mm-hmm. But it's, like, the fact that, like, the facade is just kind of dropped here, like, there's some inherent comedy in the fact that Peppino is just so ballistically angry.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, the game is really just like, no. This is cool. Check this out.
And that's one of the things that, again, I love about this game is that it's not afraid to do what it wants to do. Like, it's not limited to, like, oh, this is a silly Italian man. We're a comedy game. We gotta be funny all the time. We have
to make the ending to the game funny because it's a funny game. Nope.
Nope. Like, we're just allowed to be like, you know what? We're just gonna be cool. Like, not, like, comedically cool, but just genuinely cool.
Yeah.
And then I love that afterwards, he's just buried, that just his head is stuck into the tower.
They just give you that dead silence as you try and catch your breath, and you're just like, I beat him.
Got him. You can, like, stand on his feet.
Yeah.
Everyone I've seen, like, play the game, they go up there and they start breakdancing and, like, taunting.
Yeah.
We're just like, you get what you deserve. Now I'm gonna go home now.
But then, in, true to the Wario form, or even, like, the Metroid form of, like, well, we can't end it with a boss fight. We gotta end it with an escape.
Yeah. Well, and it's so great because you know that it's coming. Because there's, like, the pillar
the John blocks
blocking off certain areas, and they're invisible in others, like...
Yeah. You just look at it and you're like, oh, there's gonna be an escape sequence here, isn't there?
Uh-huh. But, like, and that's the thing, too, is I was like, oh yeah, we still gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm. And I like how they go back to the creepy music again.
Uh-huh. For me, this part of the game feels like a victory lap at this point.
It does,
like,
yeah.
Right down to, like, the track, it's called Bye Bye Now.
Yep, and that opening card where it's like the crumbling tower of pizza.
Yup.
And it's just like this really roughed up looking Peppino standing on just a heap of beat up bad guys.
Yup. And it's like, I love how, whereas, like, Pizza Time and, like, The Death That I Deserve, Aroli, those two tracks are very, like, tense.
Yeah, they're like, go, 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 the action and everything.
Yeah. This is still, like an upbeat, intense song, but it's more cheerful and triumphant. That it's
it's lighter.
Uh-huh. It's, hey, we're finally getting out of this place. Let's round everyone up and get out. And I love that we go and we bring everyone with us.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, right at the start, you get Gustavo and Brick. They're like, yeah, we're coming. But then you also pick up Mr. Stick.
Uh-huh. Oh, that was a thing that I forgot to mention, is I love when it's pizza time, how they would direct you. They would point you in, like, where you're supposed to go.
They'd be like, go here!
Which I love, because it made them feel like friends. And so, like, right from the start, when you grab them, it's like, okay, yeah, we're all getting out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you keep going, and then suddenly, like, you start recruiting the bosses, and you also grab Mort the chicken, which is great. And, like you get this whole entourage following you.
Just this long trail of the characters you've met along the way.
As well as, I love that you get to, like, play with all the different power-ups that you got, like...
Mm-hmm.
Like, the power-ups and gimmicks that you got through the whole level as you're just running your way out.
They combine all the transformations, all of the enemies, like, everything from the game is all just thrown into this final level.
The Crumbling Tower was just a delight.
Mm-hmm. You know, also, what I do like about, specifically, Mr. Stick, being involved in, like you said, pointing you the ways to go, and also, like, following you out of the tower. Like... The game definitely treats him like a big scumbag, and, like, he's just trying to take your money and, you know, weasel you, and he's kind of a jerk. But, like, seeing that there is kind of like, oh, maybe, like, he and Peppino, like, are friends to some extent, at least. Like, maybe there is some good to this guy, after all.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But again, that was funny that at first, like, you were just like, oh, yeah, it's all our friends coming with us. And then it was just like, oh, fake Peppino's here too.
I was like, okay.
I guess he can come with us. And then once it was like the noise, you're like, oh, we're getting all the bosses.
We're rescuing everyone.
Everybody except Pizza Face deserves a second chance.
Yep. And then, because there's also, This is where the good ending and the bad ending happen.
Yeah.
Once you actually make it outside, and if you collected all of the secret ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
He's Jerome?
Yeah, Jerome,
the janitor.
The little janitor guy that you need to unlock the janitor doors in the levels.
And can I just say, the secret ingredients are hilarious.
Yes.
Like, I think the first one we found was the peanut butter, and
yeah,
I
was it was
like,
a jar of peanut butter.
There's one that it's a rice ball, but it's got jelly like coming out of it, so it's a jelly donut.
So stupid, but it's a good callback.
It's a great callback.
That's funny.
But yeah, depending on if you collected them all, you know, it determines the fate of Pillar John.
Yep.
And, you know, I don't think we got the good ending.
No, we
but
didn't.
We looked it up afterwards. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. Give Pizza Face one more punch. Or no, it's Pizza Head.
Yeah. And then we just get that nice little, like, end credit sequence of, you know, everyone catching their breath as they're outside the tower. Yeah. And then just, like, all the different, like, enemies and little guys that were, like, in the game just, like, running through a field.
Uh-huh. Yeah. This is, like, and it's so funny because we just kind of ended on this, like, high note. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then you get judged.
And then you get judged.
Peppino's final judgment.
So there is an interesting thing. I may have misled you a little bit.
Yes, I do know that it's based on tower percentage.
It's based on your tower percentage, not how many times Peppino was hurt. That was something that was scrapped, that was intended to be a thing at the ending. The final judgment was originally supposed to be based on how much Peppino was hurt, and that's why there's still the image of, you know, that's him, officer.
That's him, officer.
That one is meant for somebody that's hurt Peppino a lot.
That was so funny.
But yeah, there's a couple of like gimmick ones too, depending on what you accomplish. Like if you beat the game, you know, like the Metroid thing, beat the game quick enough to get a secret screen. It's just Peppino like super winded, and he's like, "Man, you're fast." Like,
yeah, my favorite is if you explore the bare minimum of the tower.
Yeah,
and it's just him. You suck.
You suck, and that's your ending.
that's how the game ends.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of the Peppino getting hit thing, though, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen what happens like when you continuously get hit in a single level?
No.
Like there's the message that pops up like you've hurt Peppino 10 times, right? There's another one for like if you've hurt him 30 times and then like 50 and such, but that little screen with Peppino's face up in the corner just becomes like increasingly more and more like nightmare fuel the more times Peppino gets hurt. So there's a video like demonstrating it where he's just getting hit over and over again, so you can see all the different animations. But like it eventually turns into this really like soulless like looking Peppino, just like no eyeballs, just like an empty face.
Oh my goodness.
So like there are still some like elements of like Peppino's judgment being about, you know, how many times you got hit.
Mm-hmm.
But oh man, it's just a great little ending.
Just the perfect way to cap off this weird little adventure.
Yep.
Oh man.
We managed to get a pretty meaty, dare I say, discussion.
A meat lovers discussion.
Meat lovers, you're going to want to try this course. All right. Now we'll get on to the namesake of this podcast, the favorites section, where we discuss our favorite parts. The first thing I want to ask you about, with your experience with this kooky, crazy game, who's your favorite character?
You know, it's funny. Initially, my gut was like, oh, dude, it's Gustavo and Brick. Like, I love them so much. They're so wonderful. But thinking about it, I think it's Peppino.
Yeah?
I think Mr. Peppino Spaghetti. It was that final boss and that moment where I just connected with him and I understood him as a character.
You just, like, you completely empathized with his blind fury during that finale.
And just, like, in that moment, I was like, I love this man.
Mm-hmm.
He is a lovable little... I don't know, like, I can't put it into words. I just really like Peppino.
Can we call Peppino a Scrimblow? Does he count as a Scrimblow?
If so, he is one of my favorite little Scrimblows.
Yeah, that's the thing. For me, it's also Peppino. And I really don't want that to diminish like the value of the rest of the cast of characters, because honestly, like, all the characters are great in this game.
Oh, yes.
Even the random enemies and the one-off characters and just, like, the background gags. Like, all the characters in this game are great. But like I said, Peppino steals the show. The amazing amount of, like, attention to detail in his animations, in his expressions, in his personality. He has the brash, aggressive side of Wario.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, he's also a bit more anxious and like less of like an intentionally cruel scumbag type of character. Which I think like adds to his appeal, because like he's tough, but there's a very sympathetic layer to him as well. And like again, he leans into all the Italian stereotypes, but it's in a fun way, not in a mean-spirited way.
Exactly. Like and there's like this genuine niceness to him that you're like, I want to see this man succeed.
Yeah.
I want to see this man be happy.
He's the kind of protagonist that you can root for, But he's also not like a pushover either.
Uh-huh. So yeah, for me it's Peppino.
Definitely agreed. What was it? Another thing, just while we're talking about him, that I remembered, some trivia. There's some jokes from like the creator of the game that his first like in universe like video game appearance would have been a game about a different character called like Pizza Boy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the villain of that game.
Huh.
much like Wario, how he like starts as a villain but then develops his own identity as a character.
That's wild.
Who knows? Maybe he'll start making micro pizzas in the future. But yeah, I like that little detail. I like how there's like clear nods to like Wario in his character, but then he's also got enough to him
to make him his own.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna turn this back on you now. And ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite level?
For me, I would have to say Deep Dish 9.
That one's up there for me. That one's, and it was really
like
good.
while we were talking about it, and you were just like listing off like all of the cool things that level does. I was like, yeah, this one does a lot.
That one's really good. That one's kind of an honorable mention for me. For me, I think it was the Pig City.
The Pig City.
That level just captured my heart. Like, it had everything that I loved about this game in it. You know, like, it was funny. It had, like, a progressive narrative through the level. And we got to play as Gustavo and Brick.
Yeah.
And just, like, the music was great. I loved everything about that level. I think it was my favorite.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. That was one of the best. From there, though, I do want to ask you, separate from gameplay concepts and what's actually in the levels, what was your favorite intro artwork for a level?
Oh boy. I think I love a lot of these, but I think for me it was the waste yard. Just the Peppino dying was so funny, and it caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for it. And it probably got like the hardest laugh out of me.
That's one that like I don't think I got a big enough reaction. Like, I didn't really acknowledge what was happening in that card on my first playthrough, and so seeing you get a big reaction out of it, kind of like, oh yeah, that is pretty funny.
Yeah, I will say a close second for me is golf.
Oh, golf. That's, yeah.
Golf was another one that just was so funny. I was like, I love this. I freaking love how stupid this is.
Yeah, absolutely an honorable mention for me. Just all the, like, because the level's just called golf, but there's all this text, like, hyping it up like a movie trailer.
Yeah, but it's just golf.
All right. For me, I definitely agree with you on both of those, and there's, plenty of other good ones, and, Deep Dish 9 being my favorite, like, level. That's also one with very good art, so I want to shout that one out too. But I think my favorite artwork for a level intro has to be Oregano Desert.
Yeah.
Because it's just, like, you've got a little bit of everything that's weird about this game here. Like, you've got Peppino just freaking out and hauling butt. You've got, like, this evil alien cow in a UFO that's using a tractor beam to, like, lift up all this stuff. There's the little guys, and then, the funniest detail, as you mentioned, there's just a guy sitting on the toilet reading a newspaper, like, oh.
Like, oh, I guess I better be done.
This is happening now. I hope there's toilet paper up there.
Oh my god.
It's just some great, like, framing and like humor and like just very, like, pleasing art. Like the the warm orange desert background contrasted with like the really bright purple that pops. Mm-hmm. It's some good contrasting color.
Yeah. From there, my turn to ask a question. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite like power up or gimmick or ability in the level?
Yeah. There's so many good ones.
There's so
hard
many
to pick. But the one that I got the most enjoyment out of seeing was the pizza box. The pizza box Peppino. Because it's just so funny that it's like flapping the edges of the box like wings, and you just see a little bit of Peppino's face like dangling out of it.
Yes.
And then you get that really awesome like spin attack that like can just tear through things. Mm-hmm. Like I like a lot of the different transformations in this game, but that one is just really good.
It's really good. For me, I want to throw an honorable mention to the Knight because it's such a great first one. Yeah. But I think for me my favorite one was the Satan's Choice like pepper pizza. like one just because it was such a funny like visual. Mm-hmm. But then two, like the gameplay aspect of it was really cool, and I loved it.
It was a really interesting way of doing things that you like hold down the jump button and then you like float up slowly. Mm-hmm. I will absolutely concede to you on that one. So now me asking you this question, and we're gonna have to set up some parameters here because favorite boss.
Yeah,
it's Pizza Face, isn't it? Like,
well, specifically for me, I think it's the boss rush part of that. Like specifically that the boss rush, but how like you have the super combo. I loved that part.
Right, but that's because that's the thing. Like it feels like a cop out to say the final boss because it's like for one thing it's all the bosses. Yeah, and for another thing, like it's just like obviously the most hype moment. So like out of the 4 like world bosses,
out of the 4 world bosses, I love the Vigilante. Yeah, he's so cool, and like legit. When we were running back at the end and like rescuing everyone, and it clicked for me that we were rescuing everyone, I was like, okay, we gotta go rescue the Vigilante because I love him.
Like, in that case, I apologize about saying that mechanically it was the weakest one, but
it's fine. I just loved it.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely a very cool one.
What about yourself?
So for me, I think my passionate rant may speak for itself, but Fake Peppino gets me to like really feel some like solid tension that like is either it's rare in a video game boss or it's like a frustrating boss that I just want to beat and get over with. Whereas this one is like, it's not hard, but like thematically it's really exciting and just like when we were doing our playthrough, like I was already anticipating like the chase at the end, but like I was also like, you know, in the middle of the fight and it was starting to get crazy there and my heart rate was just like picking up and picking up and picking up. And so then like by the end of the fight, you were just kind of winding down with like, okay, I guess we did it. And then there's like the half second of like, oh, and now it's this. Whereas like I was anticipating it. And so like my heart rate just like spikes. And I think it's pretty cool when video games get me to experience strong emotion. Mm-hmm. So like, even though we definitely both agree that like the final fight is the best one, like I gotta give it up for Fake Peppino being like just really like strange and confusing and then going to like disorienting and then like deeply upsetting.
Mm-hmm. All right, so from there I'm gonna ask you, What was your favorite song in this game?
So I have, like, a cheating answer and then, like, a legitimate answer.
Uh-huh.
So I'd say, like, on the whole, my cheating answer is just unexpectancy, all 3 parts.
Ah, yes.
If you want to make me narrow it down to just one, then I will say part 3, because it's,
yup,
the crescendo of it. But, like, the entirety of unexpectancy is just my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Them guitars too good. But, like, I most prefer to listen to the complete version of it, because I like the slow start of it and then the build up to part 3.
Uh-huh. So for me, this was a tough choice.
Yeah, it's not an easy pick. Like, it's very common for people to just be like, "Oh, the final boss track is the best."
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
like,
but for me, actually, I think my favorite track in this game was "It's Pizza Time."
Yeah.
It is just one of the hypest ways to cap off a level, and legit. You'd hear it every time we were finishing a level. Just that bit of the song where it's like, "Y'all ready to get funky?" Like
when the beat finally drops.
It would crack me up every time.
'Cause it's like, it's silly, but it's also like, yeah!
It's so hype, and I just, like, it was like, regardless of what the track was, I was like, I knew going into a level that I'd be like, whatever the music is here, we're gonna end it on a banger. So, like, I'm down.
Yeah. There was also, we were definitely, like, off camera talking a bunch about how during our playthrough, Ga Metal did a cover of It's Pizza Time.
Yup.
Just, like, I remember that day we got on together. I was like, "Did you hear that he did a cover?" And you're like, "Yeah, it's so good."
It's so good. That might be another reason why it was one of my favorites, is even when we weren't playing the game, I could still listen to it.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Now we get to our big finale that we always do for favorites. Both our favorite moment from the game in general, and then our favorite moment specifically from us playing through the game together.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
So for you first, what was your favorite moment just from the game?
From the game, it's gotta be that final boss. Like specifically that final...
The finishing blow.
The finishing blow, and just like that boss rush right at the end. Yeah. Like, that was so hype and made just, like, everything so worth going through with this game. Yeah. Like, I popped off so hard on that. That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I will say, like, definitely same for me. I like, even more specifically, it's that finishing attack on Pizza Head, how it just, again, like, the flurry of blows and, like, slowly rising into the air, and just that final drop.
It's so hype. I love it.
It was, like, again, like, I was seeing aspects of Pizza Tower gameplay, and I was just thinking for myself, like, this would just be a game that I would like to play. When I saw that final boss, I was like, I need David to see this.
Uh-huh.
I think I've said that same thing about other games that we've done on the show, where it's just like, it's a great game, and then the ending is like, I have to show you this.
From there, I guess, what about from our playthrough specifically?
Yeah, from our playthrough. I'm wondering if this one will also be the same answer, unless you have something else. But
I have two of them.
Okay.
There were two things from our playthrough that I really enjoyed.
For me, from our playthrough, definitely in the freezer level, looking at all the background elements.
That was one of mine.
That, because I was having fun speeding through the levels, but I just got, like, a real appreciation for how much is packed into this game visually when we were doing that.
Yep. it was so much fun just sitting there like, wait, what is that? Wait, what is the? Hold on, go over here. I need to see what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, I finally had an answer that wasn't just after we beat the game and we looked at memes.
We did do that though. That was fun.
We did do that, but I'm just saying I finally have a different answer than that.
Yeah. So that was one of the two that I put down, and so I'll let that be yours, but like in secret that was also mine. But also just during that boss rush, just when I would be like, die! Just die! Like, just shouting that was, I don't know why that was so funny and so cathartic. And like, and it was cracking you up, and so I kept doing it.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Oh.
So final thoughts.
I was so glad that we played this.
Yeah.
As you being the new one brought in to experience this game, would you like to tell us your final thoughts on what you think about this game?
Yeah, so legitimately, this game was a fever dream in the best possible way. Like, I had a ton of fun with this game, and like, it's always great when you can associate a time in your life with an experience with a game.
Yeah, definitely.
And just the fact that, like, I'd been going through so much, like, work has been crazy with my earlier schedule, and then building a house, and, you know, like I said, the moment with the cardboard box in my backyard. like, there was a lot being thrown at me, and then to come here and experience this game, and just, like, it felt like I was going insane, but I was having a good time as well. And then just, like, that euphoric ending was so, was so satisfying to me. I was like, yes, give me more of this. This was such a delight. And so I'm really glad you showed me this game. Like,
yay.
Like, I know I was tired during a bunch of it, and I kept having to call it quits, but I really wanted to make sure you understood that, like, I am having so much fun with this game. It's just how much it is, like, throwing me for a loop.
I remember the initial, like, after our first play session, I was trying to, like, you know, safely, like, gauge the waters, like, see where things were with you. Like, you're like, man, this game is a trip, and I'm like, in a good way, or in a you want to stop playing this kind of way? And you're like, no, it's good, I want to play more, it's just a lot. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, again, it was, like I said, I was getting slapped in the face a lot this playthrough.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm glad the timing worked out so well for this then, because, like, I definitely had the thought that this would just be, like, one of the games that I was really into that I'd show you.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd just be like, oh, it's a good game, and not, like, connect with it. Whereas, like, because of the timing of everything and what was happening in your real life coinciding with this, like, it turned it into more of an experience, which makes me really happy. Because that's, you know, the struggle we always endure on the show is hoping that, like, they'll get something out of the game that the other person shows.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes me really glad to hear that that was the case for you.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll wrap up with my thoughts then, and then we can get out of this pizza tower.
It's pizza time. Time to escape.
Pizza time. I gotta do this really fast. So the number one most important thing for me, just like going quickly through it.
Yup.
No. So I would say the most important thing for me out of any action game or platformer game, what appeals most to me is always character movement. I like when it feels good to move a character around in a game. And Pizza Tower excels at that because, as we talked about, like, Peppino's got a ton of moves. There's all kinds of, like, it's not even just like, oh, this is your crouch that gets you under small spaces or whatever. It's like, you can crouch and crawl slowly, you can run and then tumble into a roll, or you can do your little, like, floor slide move that builds a ton of speed.
Slide. I love it.
Like, I love how many abilities and how many things you get. And there are definitely other things that matter to me about games. Because obviously not all of my favorite video games are, you know, action games or platformers. There's stuff like Pokemon, which has no movement. So the other aspects of games that do matter to me besides that are things like tone and art style and the sound. And this game also succeeds at making all of those super fun to enjoy. I was just really happy to find another short, charming indie game with a lot of heart put into it. I think people too often, like, pit indie games against AAA games in terms of, like, one side is good and one side is bad. Whereas, like, there's a lot of AAA games that I enjoy, but AAA games also can get very exhausting just because there's so much. They're expensive, the games are usually very long now that most games are pivoting to an open world stance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, just having something tightly designed, you know, for 20 or $30 or whatever, I really love that. That's quickly become, like, a high preference for me out of video games. It's just something cheap, fun, and won't, like, waste my time, but will be worth my time. And again, like I said, I didn't expect Pizza Tower to get as popular as it was gonna be. I've seen so many of these, like, dev blog things where they're like, this is my work in progress game. And most of them don't even get finished. Mm-hmm. And the ones that do are just like, the fans of that creator of their game are just like, yeah, this is neat. And then the game gets forgotten about. So, like, this one got critical acclaim. And it, like, totally deserved it. It's one of so many indie games that deserves praise. And I'm happy to hear this one actually got it. And it makes me want to try other games that are like it. Again, the heavy inspiration to the Wario Land series. I want to play some Wario games now.
Yeah, me too. Like, if anything like this, that'd be a lot of fun.
I love this formula of going through the level, looting it for everything you can get out of it, and then doing a quick escape and trying to run back the way you came in. I very much want to see other games that follow in that formula. But overall, yeah, just really charming, really wonderful, and I think I grew to appreciate this game even more because I played it with you than my initial first playthrough, because, like, I didn't even do a lot of digging in, like, behind the scenes, seeing what the community had to say about this game or anything. And so to see that you were looking up stuff, and you were sharing factoids with me about, like, Easter eggs in the game, stuff that we missed, and I didn't know about this, even though I was the one showing you the game, that also made it really exciting.
I'm glad. I'm glad that, like, this wasn't just, like, a one-way, like, oh, let me show you this cool thing, but, like, that I was able to also show you cool things about it as well.
A lot of these games, like, I know since I'm typically the one playing the game, and for most of these episodes I will be the one playing the game on all of these. Typically, like, you give me games that you want me to play.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in my case, the games that I recommend are things that I feel like you wouldn't play on your own, but because I'm showing it to you, you will check it out. And so my hope is always just that stuff will stick with you.
Oh, yeah.
And, like a greasy slab of cheese.
I thought you were about to say a greasy slap to the face.
Like being slapped with a pizza. And not a good, tasty gourmet pizza, like a cheap restaurant chain pizza, like Domino's.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it's thanks for joining us on our Pizza Tower discussion. It's time to talk about what we're gonna do next.
Yep. So I feel I've been feeling really bad after New Danganronpa V3, just for how long that took us to get through. So this next game is gonna be really short. We're gonna schmoove through it. In fact, the schmovement will be so fast, pants will be optional. Because next time on Tradin Faves, we're going to be playing Pseudo Regalia.
Optional? What does he mean by this?
You'll know once we get to actually playing it.
Yeah, don't spoil it for me in the comments, but, like, what does he mean by this?
What did he mean by this?
Well, awesome. I've heard very little about Pseudo Regalia, but I've heard it's very good. So,
yep.
I'm really glad we're gonna get to this.
This will be really fun, and so I'm really excited for you to get to check this game out. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of our podcast.
Yep.
Well, hey, it's been over 30 minutes. And our pizza isn't here.
Oh, shoot! That means it's free!
But I guess we'll end the episode here. Unless, of course, you feel like going back for a lap 2.
Lap 2. Alright, let's talk about our history. So I first encountered this game by following Ding Dong VG.
Oh man.
It's because I'm Italian, isn't it?
Dude, you almost broke me!
I'm getting better at it.
Because I'm Italian, isn't it? Oh my...
Taxi!
Oh my goodness. Dude.
Taxi. It's because I'm Italian, isn't it?
Just the pig cop.
Yeah. No, he's like, taxi, but then it's the cop, and he's like cuffing him, and he's got it.
It's because
like putting him in the back of his car. It's because I'm Italian, isn't it? Well, that'd make for some good bloopers.
Yeah. Oh, I had the stupidest thought the other day about like Pizza Face and just how much of a troll he is. And I was like,
should we save this for the podcast?
I mean, I'm recording right now.
Okay. Well, bloopers it is.
But like, I was just thinking, like, man, who is the bigger troll, him or Monokuma? These are the philosophical questions that keep me up at night.
I'd like to think that it's Monokuma. Personally.
Mm-hmm.
But, like...
Right?
It's... Yeah, there's room for debate. I guess that's the thing. Like, Monokuma is forcing people to, like, commit murders for his own entertainment. Whereas Pizza Face is more just, like, doing malicious acts himself in order to, you know, get a rise out of Peppino.
Yeah. Also, his hatred is targeted towards Peppino specifically, whereas, like, Monokuma is just, oh no, I hate everyone equally.
I want to make as many people suffer as possible. Whereas Pizza Face, it's, like, all concentrated on this one guy. And I feel like Monokuma's makes him the bigger troll, because he's just like, we can bring everybody down.
Everybody can suffer, whereas Pizza Face is like, Peppino must suffer.
I want this broke-ass pizza shop owner specifically to suffer.
I want to watch him cry.
Well, good.
Okay, so yeah, those are the thoughts that keep me up at night.
Mm-hmm. Those are the terms and conditions of this agreement.
Sign on the dotted line.
Sign on the pepperoni dotted line.
It just hands you a sausage. Sign with this.